And welcome everybody to another wonderful episode of Canuckleheads. How are y'all doing today? How is everybody out there doing today? We have a few things to show off. We're just waiting for Sam to join the lobby here, so we have a bit of stream business before we do anything. How's everyone doing? Good to see everybody. I see Andrea, Haven, Lane, LEZ's in the chat. Blaze Firestorm, hello, welcome. We have Harima in the VIP lounge. Welcome, Harima. We have some stream business to show off first. We got some swag in, right? I don't know if y'all saw it last time, but I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna show off a couple things. Last time we got in the Canuckleheads playing cards. These are very, very like decent quality. Like they're pretty thick. They're not cheap. Not cheaply made. So we got the Canuckleheads playing cards in. Living life, you know how it is. Absolutely. Yeah, so we got those in last time. We got another couple really cool things in here I'm gonna show off. We finally got the Canuckleheads glass. You can get this on the Zazzle right now. You can customize it. You don't want the logo that's on the back of it. You can put your own logo on it. There you go. We got some more swag to show off too. We just got these babies. We got the Canuckleheads sandals, the Canuckleheads flip-flops. You can see the Canuckleheads on this one. The logo right down here. These are pretty hefty. Like you can hear it. They got some heft to them. They're pretty nice. Pretty heavy. And just perfectly fitting for the for this Canuck from the Great Lakes Brewery. Canuck Pale Ale. We got the beer cozy to keep your beer nice and cold and keep your hand nice and warm. And look at that. We got the Canuckleheads logo right on the bottom there too. The bitch slappers, exactly. We got the bitch slappers in. So I'm just showing off some merch right now. How is everyone doing? We have an interesting show today. Oh, there we go. New beat sticks. Cheers, everybody. It's good pale ale. And I'll switch over here to this screen so I can actually scroll around. Hey, you can get your own glass. It's 25% off right now. Birthday sale is it's 25% off right now. So you can get yourself pretty much anything in pretty much anything that I have here actually. I'm gonna scroll down. You can get the cup right now, the mug. $12.95. It's $12.95 right now, which that's Canadian. That's Canadian dollar dues. Even the shoes are really fairly priced right now. $91.90. They were like $140, so that's crazy good. Like the beer cozy $6.50 right now. $6.50 right now. You can get yourself the flip flops for $30. Honestly, in a funk today, I'm drinking wine at the moment. I feel ya. I just actually got back from the movies. I'm still waiting on this. That's $25 right now. On sale, folks. Check out the Canuckleheads store. It's the Zazzle store. I don't have the link handy right now, but you can check it out. It's all there. It's all good stuff. I just actually got back from doing something I haven't done in almost 2 years. Literally, just got back from going to the theaters. I went and saw Space Jam 2. Space Jam, A New Legacy with some friend. Well, with a friend, I suppose. Not some friend, but yeah, it was that was a really interesting experience. Going back to the theaters like after nearly 2 fucking years. Yeah, saw Space Jam. It was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie. I don't know why people were shredding it. I don't know why people were like slamming the movie because it was actually pretty decent. Lots and lots of references in it, like a shit ton of references. Very interesting stuff. Considering like Warner Brothers has like a huge library apparently that I didn't even realize how far it expanded, but they have like there's a Rick and Morty reference, like literally Rick and Morty were in the movie. They like it was a whole bunch of like it was great. It was great. Like for people who watched the first movie, the original Goon Squad made a cameo in it, which was great. But yeah, it's something like if you watch the first movie, you're gonna get a lot of tingles out of this new movie. It was pretty good. It was pretty damn funny. You heard it was bad because it was full of product placement. I mean, it's a sports movie, so it kind of is. But she's just finishing up now. She should be here in just a few moments. She's got to get all pretty for the camera because she's been on camera today. But no, it was like, of course, it's full of product placement. It's a movie about basketball. I didn't notice most of it though. I honestly really didn't even notice like any product placement. No worse than the first movie. The first movie was pretty bad. They had a really funny Michael Jordan reference that I thought was fucking hilarious. I thought it was great. It's the obvious Michael Jordan joke, but you know, they had to make it, and I'm glad they did. No, I wasn't disappointed at all with the movie. I thought it was fairly well done. I thought it was well explained. I thought Don Cheadle did an excellent job in his role. And yeah, I mean, it was campy. There was some campy parts. It was a bit, you know, hammed up, but you know, it was good. It went back to what like an old cartoon, like what you'd expect from an old cartoon movie. It was just plain fun. It was just plain fun. So, yeah, that was Space Jam. We had the Space Jam. Where's that one there? There we go. All right. So now, you see one bunny mom on the screen right now. I earned the nickname Bunny Mom. I don't own any bunnies, unfortunately. I wish I did. I wish I did own some bunnies. But I got the nickname Bunny Mom because of my Huntress cosplay, and she is known as Bunny Mom. But we have the original OG Bunny Mom, which we're going to bring on stream. If you can hear me, Samantha, just give me a thumbs up when you're good to come on. If you give me a thumbs up, I will bring you into the stream. Because I can see you. Perfect. There's the thumbs. And then I'll give you your screen all to yourself here. There we go. Welcome to the stream, Samantha. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Our big guest for the day. Everyone's super excited to see you.
Oh, how cool. I wish I could see the chats.
I wish there was a way for me to like actually bring this over, but StreamYard doesn't connect to my YouTube for some reason. It connects to my Twitch, but it won't connect to my YouTube, unfortunately. Everyone's saying hi. You could bring up. You could. I could pop the YouTube link in there, and you could just mute the stream, and you'll be able to see the chat. But that'll be 1 second here, while I grab that link. Linkerino.
Say hi to Reaper.
So it'll be in the chat on the side here. You should be able to see it. Add a destination to post comment. No, I don't want private chat. There we go. There you go. So you'll be able to open that up. You'll probably have to mute the tab as you destroy your computer.
I know, right?
Uh-oh. Did we lose you? It's all black now. See, this wouldn't be a stream without the boomerang. There we go. That's better. Much better. Perfect. Excellent. Everything as it should be. There we go. Can you hear us? I think you've lost audio. Can you hear me at all? I think we lost her. Dun dun dun. This is the reason why you don't own a camera. Oh, Harima.
Okay.
Yeah, the background is nice. Background's really nice. Oh, there we go. Do you have audio? Can you hear us? Hello, Stan. How you doing?
It's fine. All right.
How you doing?
Crumb,
Can you
where'd
hear me?
go? Why can't I hear you?
You can't hear me. Ruh-roh.
I'll probably need a charger at some point.
The way it goes, it's non-stop.
Yeah.
So
This is Sam. I think Quentin's in the background.
It's right there.
I think Quentin is helping with technical support, so we might be doomed.
here,
We might be
Yeah.
doomed. Can you hear us? I'm gonna bring myself back up.
there's an outlet right behind that.
Can you hear us?
There you are.
There
Yeah, I
we
can hear
are.
you now.
Perfect.
I didn't know if I did something or.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, there we go.
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Sorry about that. Seemed like it was a
No worries.
minor technical
booming it
issue.
Booming it up.
Perfect. All right. Well, everyone's saying hi to you. Everyone's happy to see you.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
How the heck have you been?
Oh gosh, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Glad that the Earth is healing.
Oh yeah.
Conventions are opening back up.
Conventions are healing, yeah. I literally just went and saw Space Jam 2 today. I just got back from that.
Oh,
So,
really? How was
in
that?
in a theater. It was fun. It was decent. I don't think it was deserving all of the bad reviews. I think it was pretty fun.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't. It sucks because I love film so
Yeah.
much, and I love movies, but like the past couple years, I've been really shit at keeping up with them, and like the only movie that I've seen for the last year was the new Saw,
Okay.
and I wasn't impressed, unfortunately.
Aw.
So
Was that
disappointing.
Spiral or was that the last Saw movie?
Yeah, that was Spiral, the
Oh,
one
okay.
that Chris Rock and I think Samuel L. Jackson maybe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like I went into it with an open mind because it's like, okay, well they love the Saw movies and they want to kind of pay homage to it, so they're gonna respect it, and like, okay, I'll give it a chance, but yeah, it was a little weird. It's okay.
It just
I'm
wasn't.
just a purist, I
It
guess.
just wasn't Saw. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know like we've been talking for like a long time, and I've been jonesing to have you on stream. I know you've been jonesing to come on the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's start a little bit with just in general about you, because there's half the audience here obviously knows you. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people here that know you, but there's a good half of the audience that doesn't know much about you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh, it's like first day of school. Okay, so let me think. Well, like I said, I love film. I love
Yeah.
film editing. I do not so much the last year because COVID's kind of destroyed the world, but I used to do a lot of freelance editing for businesses, for advertising. Also did stuff I have a lot of friends who are musicians, and so I would help them direct like their music videos.
That's super
And
exciting.
yeah, so that's kind of what I like to do for fun and for work when I can.
Hmm.
Um, but I think how I got into uh, working on like the convention so much. So I had always been kind of weeby ever since like oh god, I was 11 or 12.
Hmm.
My first one was Naruto,
Nice.
and
Weeb alert.
I always what's that?
Weeb alert.
I know, canceled. I always I loved the art. I loved the humor and the lessons and I was like, yeah, I like this industry. Like I think it'd be a lot of fun, but I never really knew how to break into it because like at first I was like, oh, I want to be a manga artist, but like people don't really take American manga artists very seriously. So I
That's
was
true.
like, oh, okay, I'll figure something out. And kind of just went through life. So my my dad was military when we were growing up,
Cool.
and so he was overseas in Iraq a lot. And so it was just my mom and my brother and my sister and I,
It's
and we
awesome.
all kind of bonded over art and music and entertainment, film, TV, whatever.
Sweet.
And my
Yeah.
yeah, they were always really, really supportive of pretty much any crazy dreams that we had.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm pretty fortunate in that regard because I know a lot of parents are like, "What? You want to do art? Get out of here." But yeah, so I'm grateful for that. They always told me to follow my dreams, and so that's kind of what
Nice.
I always did through life. I was like, I want to find what makes me happy, what brings me peace,
Yeah.
what brings me joy, and I'm not always just going to chase like the money, for instance. I was
Yeah.
like, I want to do what makes
Exactly.
me happy.
Hundred
Yeah, that's the
percent.
advice I always give people
Yeah.
because when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for college, I was talking to my dad, I think, and I just was like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to study art because art is one of
Hmm.
those things that I hold so dear to me, and I also like I can't take criticism. I'm
Exactly.
s-
Yeah.
I'm so sensitive. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to put my art on display for all of like my professors and classmates to judge it, but like I know I want to do that and
Yeah.
um no colleges around me obviously had like film or anything like that. I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska,
Well, there you go.
and while my dad was deployed, we were living on the military base off at base in Bellevue.
Nice.
Fun fact, George Bush actually hid out there during 9/11. And he was watching it from his TV.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
no. Um, but yeah, so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and
Hmm.
people in my life were like, "Well, you should go into marketing because
Hmm.
you are, you're bright," which I thought was really kind because we don't think of ourselves that way unless you're like full of yourself. Um,
Like some people we know,
but
right?
exactly. But but yeah, so I I was like, well, if you study marketing, you can go into like the artistic side of marketing, and
Hmm.
I actually did get accepted into an art school that had like a business art kind of program,
That's pretty cool.
but it was hella expensive. It was like $300,000,
Oh
and
my god.
I was not gonna ask my parents to pay for that. So I was like, well, so
That's a
yeah, I
hell of a
went to a
loan.
community. Yeah, I know. Went to a
Yikes.
community college. Got my um, marketing associates, and
Nice.
then went on to university. Got my full degree title is a bachelor's of science in business administration with a concentration in marketing and entrepreneurship. So it's like the
That's a
longest degree
mouthful.
title you've ever heard.
Damn. That's pretty cool though.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. I always kind of knew from a young age, and this is why I always really liked listening about your stuff about entrepreneurship and paving your own way, because
Yeah.
I knew from a young age, like, I can't stand authority. I know that's kind of juvenile, but I never liked authority. I never liked people telling me what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
I had a lot of jobs that I was trying, and I never meshed with my bosses,
Right.
and I always felt micromanaged and stifled.
Right.
And so I was like, because real quick, but my first job out of university, my first big girl job,
Mm-hmm.
was I was an event coordinator for the Omaha Henry Durley Zoo and Aquarium, which
Mm.
that and the San Diego Zoo, they go back and forth about like who is the number one zoo in the country. So
Nice.
it was huge, and we had a lot of like really fancy events, and then we did fun events,
Oh.
and I kind of knew I wanted to go into events because I was working um from I'm kind of going all over the place, sorry.
No
But
worries. It's great.
from in my childhood, like I said, my parents always encouraged us to do art things, and my
Mm-hmm.
mom was actually like an MC, and she
Oh.
worked yeah, and she worked a lot with like local bands. I don't know if anyone's heard of the band. Oh, I can't remember their new name. Their old name was Emphatic, but they have a couple hits. But my mom was their first manager, and me as like a 9-year-old got to design one of their logos.
That's really
And
cool.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and being around musicians and rockers, like, that was so cool to me, and I was like, "God, I these are my people."
Yeah. Seems like a
And
big influence on you.
for sure, and, I worked at a guitar shop for a little bit when I was in college, selling
Mm-hmm.
guitars, and, of course, being the only girl in a guitar shop, you know,
Yeah.
that was fun.
Be interesting.
Literally, I had a man once be like, "Oh, I wanna buy a guitar strap, but, would you know anything about that? 'Cause you're a girl." And I was like, "Funny." You know?
Mansplaining guitar straps. Amazing.
Exactly. I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here." But yeah, and so I was trying to figure out how to, like, combine all these things that I love, and so
Yeah.
that's how I ended up in events, because I saw my
That's so
mom put on
cool.
these big events and concerts, and then I ended up just mingling and getting friends and networking in the Omaha community, and the Omaha has a great music community, um, and so I was able to kind of weasel my way into a lot of like situations, just basically by showing up and talking to people
Yep.
and putting myself out there. And that's how I ended up working for shows for like Escape the Fate, Ace Frehley from Kiss.
Nice.
Um, oh gosh, I feel like there's so many. Um, I can't think of them all right now, but yeah. Oh, Machine Gun Kelly before he
Nice.
went like punk rock. He when he was still kind of rapping and he was new,
Right.
like I got to do like basically kind of some stage work for him, and then yeah, he was really sweet, and yeah, so I was like, I love being around talented people. Like these are my people.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I was trying to figure out how to mesh with that. And when I was working at the Omaha Zoo doing events there, that was a respectable job, and people in my life are really proud of me. And I
Yeah.
and I knew it was really good for like my resume and networking and all that, but I was like, I'm just not really happy
Mm-hmm.
because it's so stiff and so stifling, and everything has to be a certain way,
Right.
and it's a lot of politics and bullshit, and I got so tired of the corporate, micromanaging culture. And like I mean like okay, like my I have tattoos all over my arms, and like whenever we were having like a nicer event, they'd be like, "Oh, wear long sleeves,"
Oh
and
my
it's like
goodness.
normal people would be like, "Oh, okay, whatever," but me, I'm like, "How fucking dare you?" You know,
Exactly.
ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
and
That's so nuts.
yeah, and like I think one of like the breaking moment for me was when my like I filled in like my eyebrows a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and my manager was like, we need to have a talk because you can't wear that much makeup, and if
Whoa.
maybe you just need to go home from this event. I'm dismissing you from this event. And
Wow.
it was
What a
like,
dick.
yeah, it was like a huge event. Oh, she was a bitch. Fuck you if you're listening, Madeline. um but yeah, like she was so mean, and I hate that kind of culture too. It seemed like wherever I worked where there was other women, it
Mm-hmm.
was just cattiness like
Yeah.
nonstop, and I just couldn't stand that. I was like, why? Like, let's just have fun and be cool and be friends. But they never liked me. That's
That's
okay.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I know, it's
It's
whatever. But
and so you went from like one frying pan into a massive, massive fryer by going from the corporate world into the convention world,
mhm,
where
totally.
politics are like amplified. I remember initially when I started working in conventions and stuff, I never realized how ridiculous some of the stuff is in the convention world,
Yeah.
and just seeing it inside of things, like between convention owners and between like vending circles and everything else. It's so insane. Like
Oh yeah.
it's so crazy. What got you into like getting involved with conventions and that type of event from the corporate aspect? Like you went from corporate and then you went into more of a casual setting. How did,
Yeah. So yeah, when I was working at the zoo, I was like, I'm tired of being stifled,
yeah.
and I always wanted to work for myself and figure out how to do that. So I want to branch out. I quit my job at the zoo, and I just got a job like bartending. And yeah, I stripped a little bit, die mad about it.
There's a lot of people mad about a lot of things. We'll definitely
It's
dive into some of that in a little bit.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I love talking about it. It's fun. But so yeah, I was doing that kind of stuff basically, just to get by.
hmm
And I hadn't been to a anime convention since I was like 12 or 13 years old.
hmm
And so yeah, there was a convention in Omaha, Nebraska, where I lived, called CompiCon. And it was in 2019, February 2019.
hmm
And I just kind of I went by myself, which I wasn't complaining. I know some people are like, I can't go by myself, but like I liked it because then it
hmm
was on me. I didn't have to follow people around. So I just kind of went and was walking around, talking to people, doing my own thing. That's where I met Quentin for the first time. He was a
Nice.
guest. Yeah, and so later on, I found this group of friends, and a few of them are actually my roommates now to this day. Amazing how
Nice.
conventions bring people together.
Right?
Um,
Seriously.
um, but yeah, so we were all just hanging out, and we went to a room party, and this guy, um, was serving the drinks, and he seemed like really funny. Like we were talking and we were just hitting it off. We had the same like fucked up sense of humor. And we actually ended up talking a lot about like business and and
Mm.
and marketing and and all that kind of boring shit.
Yeah.
But so it turns out that he was the marketing and operations director for that whole convention.
Oh, wow.
And
How
yeah, and
about
it was
that?
crazy. Right. And so then he added me on Facebook, and then that was Saturday. So then I went to the con the next day,
hmm
and he was like, "So, do you know Allie Bruno? Like, that's your same last name." And I was like, "Yeah, she was my sister." And he was like, "Oh my God, I was like friends with her." And so we started, we had all these things in common, and it
That's
was
so crazy.
crazy, like how I know it was crazy how like how small the world can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then he was asking me like what I was doing for work, and I was talking to him about that, how I didn't like it and I didn't like the corporate shit, and I wanted to get into this kind of business where I could work with talented people, and
Mm-hmm.
I love helping people have a good time. And so the more we got to talking about it, he was like, "Well, I'm not a weeb." He was like, "I am not a weeb. I just know, crunching numbers, and I know like guest relations,
Yeah.
I know that stuff, but I don't know what like the guests want.
Right.
And you might have a better idea of that because you are more into this kind of fandom, obviously, than I am."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to help you." And, it didn't pay well. If I even got paid, I don't know. But
it,
like,
it doesn't
I was
pay.
so happy. Yeah, I was just so happy to do it. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it, whatever." And so yeah, I would help him. Basically, he was the math brain and all that, and I was kind
Right.
of the entertainment brain. I
There
was
you
like,
go. It was a good
so
pairing.
exactly, yeah, it was perfect how we meshed. And because I had a lot of friends too who were even
Mm-hmm.
bigger weebs than me,
Right.
and they were all, they were like, I would ask them, "What kind of guests do you want to see? What kind of things do you want to do during a con? What kind of panels do you like? What vendors do you like? Da 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 da. What do you not like about
Exactly.
this con? What could we improve?" And so I was kind of trying to help him uh, have the best of both worlds. That
Yeah.
way, you're pleasing the people who are coming. And I also wanted to make sure my biggest priority, and I loved that you talked about this in one of your streams, but my biggest priority was like, we need to make the guests happy.
Absolutely.
We need to make the vendors happy. We need to make,
Absolutely.
the actors happy, whatever.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, for me, it was like, they're your draw.
Exactly.
Without interesting actors or interesting vendors, people aren't gonna come, you
Nope.
know?
They won't show up.
And we should also treat the actors and the other guests really well because, we want them to come back. We want to build that rapport,
Exactly.
and we want them to be happy. We don't want them, because I know how it felt being underworked and underpaid.
Yeah.
You're miserable. So I was like, I don't want to treat them like that. They should have all the accommodations we can give them. They should be paid very well. They should be, able to sell their merchandise
Exactly. Yeah.
that they can,
100%.
make their own money. And so yeah, that was my biggest thing. I was always trying to give him ideas of how we can make life easier for the guests
That's
because I
good.
saw them as our primary customer.
Yeah.
Um, and for instance, so I always told him how much I loved Crispin Freeman
Mm-hmm.
because he is my Alucard. He is my Itachi. He's even the monkey in Overwatch. He's all kinds of things. But I loved him as Alucard, and I just always thought he was so talented, and I loved his voice, and he seemed like a sweet guy. And I was like, "Hey, Jacob, we should invite him." And he was like, you know, "He's really expensive and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, come on, like people would love it. Like Crispin almost never does little cons like this, and it would be such a draw." And he was just like, "No."
Exactly.
And then he is such a dick. Literally like a week or so after that, he sends me the email confirming that we booked Crispin. And I was like, and then yeah, he drew a lot of people,
Yep.
and they got, it's like, yes, he might be an expensive guest, but there's a
Get your
reason
money's worth
for
out
that.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Like,
some. And
yeah.
you make people happy, and so yeah, that was really, I actually cried when he told me
Aw.
that like we booked Crispin because I was so happy. I was like, yes, I'm doing this. I helped. That's my baby. But yeah, so unfortunately, there was a lot of shit wrong. There was just a lot of toxicity with our relationship over time.
Yeah.
He wanted it to be something more, and I really didn't. And I tried to let him down gently, and it never seemed to work. And one weekend at a con, we had a bad blow up. We didn't speak for a month, and then after a month, we were like, you know what? Like, this is toxic. Like, clearly, you have this idea of what our relationship should be, and I have a completely different one.
I
And
know
all I'm
that
doing,
feeling.
yeah, it's awkward. And
It
so I was
is.
like, we're always just gonna keep coming back to this.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, one of the things that really upset me was I asked if I could come to the cons with him as his guest, as a staffer.
Right.
And, obviously that means I would get the same perks as he would.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I will help you do whatever you want. I just really want to try doing this. And he was like, well, I'm not really comfortable having a woman come with me who I'm not in a relationship with.
Yeah, that's a bit weird to say.
I know.
It's
And
putting a lot of pressure when it's not really necessary. Like,
right.
yeah.
And and I don't want to turn this into like a shit talking session about him.
That's what this show is, apparently, according to Twitter.
Exactly.
So
right. Twitter knows everything. But yeah, no, he was an awesome dude. He was hilarious. He was kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's just just bullshit. It happens.
Yeah.
So I was kind of bummed, but I was like, well, you know what? I want to try this on my own.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to start my own cons before, obviously, like COVID happened and then ruined everything.
Well, I think the funny part is, and I think you highlight a lot of what I have been trying to hammer through the heads of a number of people. Your story right here is a microcosm, right, of a lot of different stories all across the world, notably North America, where we have the most woke fucking population on the planet, apparently. But
God, yeah.
we have situations like years ago, like I had a situation where I was pushed out of a community that I loved. And I lost a lot of friends. I basically lost a hobby. Because of just like weird fucking people. And you're in this situation where you lost something that you really loved. But that's kind of started the fire under you to do your own thing. And like, this is what I'm hammering into people all the time. It's like, look, you can go out there if you have a passion for something, and a lot of people have passions, but if you have a passion for something and you want to do something positive, why not just do your own thing and create your own thing? And why are you building it for somebody else? Why are you giving somebody else all the recognition for your hard work and your passion, when you could just go out and do your thing directly to market, directly to the people that want to support you? And I think COVID is a blessing in disguise, because a lot of what COVID has done is like hit the brakes hard enough for the people that were not very good for the for whatever insert community here. Like the convention scene needed a change, in my opinion.
Yeah, big
conventions
time. It was a long time coming.
It did. It needed refreshment. It was on life support. Like, it needed something different. COVID slammed the brakes so hard that all the people that were just coasting, just like they're gone now. Like they have been ejected. They have like lost, because they have been coasting on fumes for the past like 10, 15 years. Like, for example, Anime North. Like, I have no problem slagging Anime North because they're a bunch of garbage bags. But
I've wondered about them. I've seen a lot of stuff about them, but
they're basically they used to be very good. Let me just say, like, Anime North, the ghost of what Anime North was, it was amazing for its time, and then the people who ran Anime North got very complacent, and then they just, you know, they were happy with what they had. They had money rolling in, they had sponsorships rolling in, and they just didn't innovate anymore. And they just started cutting back on things that were too scary for them, or like things that were going to overshadow them as the main feature. So they just cut back on things like that. But conventions like that, they've been basically running on fumes for years, and not having an income for 2+ years for a lot of these events has put a lot of these events into the ground. They were banking on the fact that through COVID, they thought that they could get people to pay to watch live streams, which I've said since even before this, like, virtual conventions are not a replacement. They're like an add-on, right? They're something that you do in conjunction with your live event for people who can't go to your live event but want to participate. So like, it's something that you add on to your event. It's not something you replace your event with. So a lot of events found that out the hard way, because they tried really hard to push everything virtual and charge people for glorified Twitch streams, which is insane. I
know.
And now we're finding out that, there's tons of events that were around. Now the herd is thinned, and now the people that have the vision and have the passion can step in and replace those voids, because the convention calendar has opened up. There's a bunch of people out there that are starved for convention appearances now. Like, you might have had people charging $5,000-$10,000 for appearances. Now they're charging $2,000 or $3,000 because they need the money. They need the dates, because they
just won't show up.
Clock is ticking, right, for a lot of these people. Time is one thing that just doesn't stop. So I think for like yourself, if you're looking to get into conventions, like I'm looking to see my options and what I can do to start an event in this area too. Just because it's like, now I know, like, especially for us in Canada, I don't know how much in the States there's boosts for like small businesses, but I am fairly certain tourism is going to be a #1 priority for a lot of cities for the next few years.
Oh yeah, big time.
Have you given any thought about like starting up your own circuit or your own event, or even something small?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was wanting to do when I was living in Omaha. Because, a place like Omaha that has a really big kind of nerd community, things like that.
Yeah.
Like, and they're kind of starved for cons too, because they only had, ConPi that I went to that was a little small. And then they have Anime NebraskaCon, but that's once a year in November.
Yeah.
And I know from what friends have told me that like they miss, like they want more. Like
Absolutely.
They want more stuff to look forward to. You spend money and time on like these cosplays, and then you can only wear them like twice a year. Like, that's lame.
Exactly.
And yeah, and so I was trying to think of something there, because it's like, well, yeah, this place needs more fun. But yeah, then COVID fucked everything up. But yeah, you've definitely got a point there. Like, yeah, a lot of cons just haven't been able to survive, and it's a shame. And like, I feel
like a
really
blessing
bad.
and a curse, right? Like,
yeah, I feel really bad for the cons that are trying to go on.
Yeah.
And they just get like flooded with hate. Like, how fucking dare you?
Well, it's so strange, right? Because we've seen many sides of this. We've seen many sides of this over the past few months. Now we're getting to the end of the COVID rainbow. We're getting to the end of that tunnel, where most of the United States is pretty much fully well open now. Canada is starting to open. There's talks of opening the borders now at the end of July, maybe end of August. So now, from a convention standpoint, from Canada, we have because there's no point, number one, in having a convention unless, like, number one, your main thing is having locals. Like, if your main thing is having locals, then great, have a convention. But for Canada to get draw, we have to get Americans. We have to get like
Yeah.
American talent, people that just they can't see, or what have you, because most of Canadian talent is living in the U.S. right now. Like anyone notable.
Yeah.
Like if we were to get like, I don't know, for wrestling fans, if we were to get a Kenny Omega, right, who's Canadian, who wrestled a lot in the Canadian circuits, he's in America right now. Like there's a lot of stars like William Shatner, I'm pretty sure is in America right now. Scott McNeil, I'm pretty sure is living in California right now. And like Scott McNeil's a big Canadian actor. So like there's a lot of Canadians that we could reach out to for guests, but they're all living in the US, and there's no way to get Americans into Canada right now, outside of special government exceptions, which is just impossible. But we're starting to see things lift now. But it was very interesting to see the complete 180, because we had the people that when a certain voice actor got invited to a convention, everybody was I would say everybody, but it seemed like everybody, all 10 people on the internet that were mad, took to Twitter and got really, really angry that, oh my gosh, how dare this person go in the middle of COVID? How dare they with masks, and they're taking their masks off to take photos. But then a week later, their favorite voice actor is going to a convention, and it's like, oh, and this convention, mind you, that they're supporting now, shut down a COVID vaccination site for the weekend. And it's totally okay for them to go to that convention and have have people there with no masks and stuff like that. But it's not okay for someone to go to a convention that enforces masking and enforces limits, and you know, if people want to take a photo without the mask on, that's completely up to them. That's right. Wrong, but you know, it's the cognitive dissonance here is just it's incredible to see.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like, you know, rules for thee, but not for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
We've been seeing a lot of that recently, haven't we?
Yeah, it's insane. Like, I don't think I can find myself to care enough to like bother myself with what other people do with their lives. I have always just tried to live by, you know, do no harm.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, don't hurt others to get ahead. Don't, you know, blah, blah, blah. The same old shit. So it's like, if you're not hurting anybody, like, I don't care. Like, do whatever makes you happy. You
Absolutely.
know?
Well, it's like you look at this stuff and it burns me so much looking at businesses right now, because businesses, I think that most companies, most corporations, most CEOs are probably about 10 years behind where they need to be in terms of social media. I think the rest of the world has looked at Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and everything else like that as what it is. It's a cesspool of nonsense. It is basically a joke. I mean, when I see something blow up, like the whole Chris Avellone thing, just for example, when I heard
that poor guy, like, God,
I mean, part of it's his own doing, and I hope to eventually get to talk to him at length about it one day.
Yeah.
I know he was interested, and he was interested in coming on the show, but just not at the moment. He was too busy. But I hope to eventually schedule some time with him in the next few months. But a lot of that situation, it's like he did everything the right way and still got taken to the woodshed because these people don't care. But a lot of the world has figured this out, right? When I looked at the Chris Avellone thing, and I had no idea what was going on, because like he basically just took the shots and went dark, and then he came back months later after he, you know, did his time, quote unquote, came back and said, you know what, okay, this is not okay, because I'm still getting attacked, I'm still getting like shit thrown at me. He's like, I don't know, like I'm just, and this is hyperbole, it's basically like I can't even get a job at McDonald's because these people are literally like emailing them. That's not official. That's not official. That's just hyperbole. But it's basically that situation. It's basically that situation where it's like you can see, and I knew from the get-go, because I saw his statement on Twitter. I saw his statement about what he was going to do, what he was planning to do to fight back and push back against the ridiculousness, the extreme situation that he's going under. And what immediately turned the light on for me of how he is telling the truth and how this is 100% like, you know, he's not wrong about this, is when Vice and like Kotaku and all these other stupid urinalist websites start posting that he's that he's filing a slap lawsuit and that he's attacking people and blah blah blah. I knew exactly from that moment that they were full of shit. That he was 100% correct, because I don't believe a fucking thing that comes off of social media. Not one.
No.
Because it is just
it's
a place.
We were raised not to, and yet now everyone does. You know?
It's amazing because it's literally a place where people just go and shit on their keyboard and hit send. Like, that's all they do. that's what it's turned into now. And like, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah, it's crazy. It's disappointing, frankly. And, you know, it's like, do words not mean anything anymore? Like, do those
apparently not.
people understand what a slap means?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it is.
No. Well, especially considering, like, going against public opinion, number one. This thing, whatever's been going against Chris Avalon's apparently been going on for years. I have literally never heard about it until he posted on Twitter. So if it's about public participation, they did a really good job of keeping their mouths fucking shut for like 2.5 years.
Right.
So him him saying his piece after the fact of him being like literally losing his job, and the company, fucking shame on the fucking company, by the way. And this is just going to show people how fucking disingenuous and how much they fucking think of their people by pre-drafting a statement and handing it to him and say, sign this. Like, I would tell them to go fuck themselves. I wouldn't sign a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sign a goddamn thing. And like, I understand being in the world of corporate and all that stuff. Like, I understand the age-old mentality of being like the company man, right? The company man, company woman, just doing what you're told, just going in, doing your work, being the team player. That shit's done now. They don't care about you.
Yeah. I learned that extremely quickly.
Yeah.
That's why I studied business, because I wanted to do it on my own. I didn't want to sell my soul to a company or a person that didn't care.
Yeah.
And it's not even just that they like don't care. It's like a lot of them almost do more harm than good for people.
Oh, absolutely.
And they don't want to work with people anymore. They don't want to build. I was actually talking about this the other night. It seems like, you know, back in like maybe like the 50s, 60s, that kind of time, you know, you would see people have the same job from out of high school until they retired.
Exactly.
And, you know, they had their retirement and, you know, they were loyal to the company because the company treated them well, paid them well.
And the company wanted to keep good people.
Yeah, exactly. But I could write like a whole dissertation on why, you know, we don't have that anymore, but it's unfortunate. It's sad. And, you know, I remember when I was about to graduate, and, you know, I had professors being like, oh, Samantha, I'm going to send your resume to Union Pacific, you know, the really big transportation train company.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, the company that just laid off like 3,000 employees.
Exactly.
And she was like, oh, well, you know, they just do that so that they, you know, can bring in fresh people. And I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
You mean fresh people as in young college grads like me who will take any job and, you know, be fine with not being paid well, not being treated well, no benefits.
Controllable assets.
Exactly. It's like no thanks.
No,
No thanks. Because then because then you'll be on the chopping block next.
exactly. It pisses me off so much. We're seeing it in real time right now. We're seeing it in real time. And these little leeches on Twitter and social media, they're taking credit for it. When this stuff is organic, this has been going on for literally years. But you have, and it's funny because like we've seen it happen with one stalker who really, really wants to come on the show, but just can't ask me straight up to come on the show. Weirdo. He just weird ass like plummet rant just decides to like make this big diatribe about how everyone wants to talk about him but no one will talk to him, but he's like throwing shade on my name. Dude, if you want to come on the show, just ask. I'll promptly tell you what I think. But you have people like him who's taking credit for getting voice actors removed from conventions, and then when he's called on it, he's like, well, I didn't actually say I did it. Like, bullshit, dude. You're insinuating so hard that you did it. And then you have other little weirdo hate groups out there that are taking credit for getting voice actors removed from roles and actors removed from roles and blah, 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 blah. It's like, that's not what's going on here, though. Like, they might hold this victory because the corporations are perfectly happy to let them. But these corporations, they're looking for an excuse to get rid of these people. They're looking for an excuse to fire the top end talent that are making in the 5 or 6 figures a year and bring in the low end talent that are bringing in entry level. Like they get 10 entry level people for the same price.
Right.
It's
a shame. They want desperate people, and that's unfortunately what our economy has now become. It's like people just want something, and it's so sad that people have to, work to death just to try to live day to day. Like that's insane. Not fair. And that's what I didn't like either, like that's why I had to fucking like go strip, because it felt like even with a college degree and even with good work ethic and all this stuff, like I could still barely afford my rent and food, and
absolutely.
Never mind they weren't giving me health insurance, God forbid. So it's like
insanity.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and there are just very few justifiable things I can think of why you would be happy that someone else is suffering.
Again, like I don't understand what is behind these individuals. The absolute degeneracy that goes on Twitter. Like people act like I'm some massive villain and whatever else because I make fun of these people. This is literally the only recourse you have against these psychos. You just have to laugh at them, because the more you laugh at them and the more you show the world how fucking absurd they are, the less inclined they're willing to go and be idiots, basically. I mean,
because they're prideful. It's all ego.
All ego.
And so if you cut them down, cut them at the fucking knees, they don't know what to do with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because you try to talk to them like for me, like my conflict resolution, I've always tried to be like, I'm gonna calm, level-headed, I'm gonna try to see their side, and we're gonna have a conversation, and I don't want to make myself right. I just want to have a conversation,
Exactly.
But you can't do that with mobs because they're already ingrained with what they believe, and nothing to the contrary is acceptable. That kind of thinking is scary.
Well, they have their own reality. Like I've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on stream, and I've talked about it with some friends that are psychologists and therapists, and it's been very interesting conversations. But it seems to be that they've built themselves, like people like this. I'm not speaking about anyone in particular because this could fit so many fucking people. But
oh yeah,
there are a lot of people out there that build a reality for themselves, And anything at all that threatens that reality, they viciously attack, because if they accept what reality actually is, then that means that they have to accept all of the things that they've been running away from and all the things that they've been avoiding. And
all the bad stuff.
All the bad reality. Stuff. And like, I talk about this as a streamer, because like I stream on Twitch too. And I got my big breakout in following when I was playing Pokemon trading card game online. Like, I started by playing Final Fantasy X, and I had a few people pick me up from that. But my big breakout was when I was playing Pokemon trading card game online. And that community is so massively toxic positivity. Like, every single one of those streamers cannot have a bad day. They're not allowed to have a bad day. It's so bizarre. If you tune into a Pokemon trading card game stream, I mean, a lot of people use that game as a jumping off point to get Twitch partner and then never play it again. No word of a lie. But it's toxic positivity. Well, you have people that are literally struggling with depression and bad thoughts, going on and streaming because they have to 7 days a week, and pretending like everything in their world is perfectly happy every single day. It's so crazy, because they have to, because if they don't, then they have to deal with reality, which is an ugly truth most of the time.
Right. Yeah, big time.
And I think that's a lot.
What's that? Sorry.
I think that's a lot of what these people are emulating right now on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that we've
for sure.
seen.
And I mean, we all deal with hurt.
Yeah, everyone does.
And loss, and upsetting things that would be more pleasant to not deal with.
Absolutely.
But like for instance, I'll just use an example. It's like, when my sister, she was only 23 when she passed away from cancer, I felt slighted basically by life in general. I was like, this is not fair. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to her. It's not fair to our family. It's bullshit. It's blah blah blah. And I became a really, kind of reclusive. I became just angry. I was always angry.
Mm-hmm.
And it ruined relationships in my real life, because in my head I was justified. Like, no, I was wronged. Like, my sister was wronged. I have to go through life without her. This is not fucking fair. But eventually I was like, I gotta go to therapy because I can't deal with this on my own. And that's when you're taught, yes, coping mechanisms, but it's also about like confronting yourself.
Absolutely.
And and changing your mindset, because shitty people and shitty things in life will always be there. You will get hurt.
Yeah.
It is what it is, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't change other people. You can't change what happens, but you can change how you choose to react to it.
Absolutely.
And you can choose to learn from it and move on with your life. Like, when I talk about my sister in front of people, a lot of people are always like, oh, I'm sorry, I know that's probably really hard. And I'm like, I've accepted it, yeah, it's still hard, but like, I'm not angry at the universe anymore.
Right.
It just is what it is.
You find ways to continue, and I hate to say it, right? But it's like you learn that stuff. It sounds cold,
but it's really not.
Yeah, it's really not. It's just one of those. It's a life lesson that you have to learn. And I think think what we see. I mean, like, as a people, like as a species, we're pretty risk averse, right? We do the absolute most to make sure we're most comfortable, and like we see that especially in business. Business is extremely risk averse to the point where they'll just get rid of something at the hint of it being even remotely troublesome or any sort of effort. And I think there's a way better way to handle that. And I think that would be honestly, it would be much better for everybody if they did figure out a way to like not just knee jerk react to everything. But that's something that like people that they have to go through stuff to understand, right?
Right.
And like I had a loss a few years ago when we lost one of our team members at Kitchener Comic-Con.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that it's a very difficult thing to process, right? Because it's like all of a sudden like you see that person one day and then they're just gone forever after that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's about figuring out, okay, well, what the heck do we have to do to move on from that? And then you feel bad about moving on from it. But it's not even necessarily about that, but it's like you just have to remind yourself, it's like, yeah, the world doesn't stop for just one person, right? And they wouldn't want you to. They wouldn't want you to stop for them. You got to figure out how to turn that negative into a positive, which, I mean, loops back to what we've been saying about all this other stuff too. It's like I've lost jobs, right? Like I've been laid off from jobs, and it doesn't mean I'm never going to be able to get a job again. Because like obviously
it does sting.
It does sting. But it's like you gotta figure out how to get back on the horse. How do you, like, you could just sit back and be like, oh woe is me forever, right? There's tons of people that do that. Tons of people that lean on different things like alcohol, like drugs, or whatever else. But you got to figure out, okay, well, what can I do to control my life? What am I doing to control my fate? Right, and go from there.
Right.
I know this is like a heavy topic, but like how have you been able to spin? Because you've had a lot of shit thrown at you in the past year and a half. You've had like a lot of shit thrown at you.
I'd say so.
In the past year and a half.
It's been fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's been weird. Yeah. So sorry. What was your?
I was going to ask. How have you been moving forward through all of this stuff? Because like, I can't imagine going through like a high of finding the person that you are dedicating the rest of your life with, and then having that kind of turn into a nightmare situation for out of something that was neither in your control or your fault. It was literally nothing to do with either of you.
Kind of just. Happenstance.
Just thrust upon you, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like last year was such a weird year anyway.
Yeah.
Obviously I was assaulted during an attempted robbery in May 29th of last year. And it was really bad. I had, like strangulation injuries. I had a traumatic brain injury, and like the more that it's sunk in, like, oh my god, I could have died.
Yeah.
And it took me a while, it took a lot of work, but I didn't want to hold on to the shit. I wanted to try to see what good was in store for me, and I wanted to try to take back control, because I was in a little woe is me area where I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened to me.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, we can't control what happens, we control how we react to it.
Exactly.
And I remember when I was even, testifying for the court, about him getting put to jail.
Yeah.
I said, like, look, I think he does need to be put away, because clearly he's a danger to women. This is not the first time he's assaulted a woman. And, he doesn't belong in polite society. However, like, I also want him to get help.
Absolutely.
So that he can go out into the world and not ruin other people's lives.
Exactly.
Like I hope for the best for him. I don't want him to just rot in jail and suffer and die.
Yeah.
Like, for God's sakes, get better so that you don't treat your fellow humans like this. And I felt much more at peace with that than I would have being like, well, fuck that person.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a dick. I want him to die in prison, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
That's not healthy for your heart, for your soul. it's not healthy.
Well, it's the
And
difference between justice and vengeance, right?
exactly,
Very
yeah. I
fine
was like, I
line.
want him to get justice, but I don't have any hate. I even said, I was like, I don't hate this man.
Hmm.
I am sorry for him,
Yeah.
and I want him to get help so that when he is released from prison in 10 years, he doesn't go and harm someone else.
Exactly.
Like, um, but anyway, so all that to say, then obviously
Yeah.
jump to this stuff and all that happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was horrible. Because it was like, yeah, you're on this high,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden it just gets taken from you. It literally reminded me of when, like, I used to do cocaine, and like you take cocaine and you're like, oh yeah, I feel fucking
Feels good at the
awesome and I'm
time.
happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited, life of the party. And then when you crash, you feel like shit.
Yeah. It's the
And
worst down. Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of how that whole thing felt. It was like really high and then crash.
Yeah.
And I I guess that's just kind of how life goes, it's ups and downs, but it was really really tough because it's like, well, this is supposed to be this is a moment where that everyone, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of people, dream about and they look forward to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a happy and celebratory life and or time in life, and it felt like it was stolen from me.
Yeah.
Like, again, I go into that woe is me mentality where it's like, this was taken from me, blah blah blah. Um, and yeah, it was really hard, kind of digging myself out of that hole, and I'm still working on it.
It's a
But
process, right? It's not.
yeah,
It's not something
I
that's gonna be
think I just
overnight.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, because yeah, we went through a lot of shit, and
And it's not like it's
still
not like
kind
it would
of.
just end either. It would be one thing if it ended a year ago, but this shit's been going on,
Yeah,
and it just keeps going on. Like it's hard
yeah,
to it's hard to fully heal from something when they keep ripping the scab off. Like,
right, yeah, exactly, and like, I've been having to work, like, again, like something that my my therapist is really good about working with me on, because sadly enough, like, it's actually a pretty similar response to how it was when I was assaulted.
yeah,
It's like, this person did this to me. This person is controlling my life. This
yeah,
person, you know, they're harming me. They're doing me wrong, and this sucks, and I hate this, and blah blah blah. My
hmm,
life is miserable. Um, but yeah, I've just had to learn to be like, okay, this is my life. I choose how I react to things.
hmm,
I am in control. No one else. Things don't just I firmly believe that things happen for a reason.
absolutely.
Like, for things like, my sister passing away or me getting my ass beat by a grown man, things like that, I'm like, I don't really quite know why that happened.
The universe has a really
There's this.
fucking weird sense of humor, honestly.
Exactly. There's well, I do too, so that's great. But like, so it's just there is a lesson to be learned in everything though.
Absolutely.
And I have tried to take lessons from this, and I just try to look ahead. I don't like to wallow in it. I don't like
Yeah,
to be depressed about it. I want to focus on the future because the future is bright, regardless of what's happened right now or what's happened, a few months ago.
yeah,
Like, there are better things ahead. And I know that because I've gone through so many ups and downs. Everything
absolutely.
bad that has happened in my life has led to something fantastic.
And it always
And
prepares you for
yeah,
something in the future. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. And so yeah, I just try to remember that. And we all have up and down days, but we just
Yeah.
try to be there for each other and be supportive and understanding.
Yeah,
And yeah, we'll get through it one way or another. We're
absolutely.
out of the, you know, we're out of a lot of shit. So
And I honestly do think that just laughing at this is probably the best way to handle it,
yeah,
honestly. Because I mean,
yeah,
like, looking at it's a weird thing. Because like I laugh at everything, right? I laugh when I'm stressed out. I
yeah,
laugh when I'm angry.
yeah.
People
Me
think that
too.
I'm people like think that I'm crazy. No, it's like what are you gonna do if you can't laugh at it? You're
Right.
gonna cry. It's just may as well laugh. Just may as well like, make it as look at it like the joke that it is, right? Honestly.
Exactly. That's what I always try to do. I always like, okay, like as horrible as it is, and like, don't cancel me, but like, literally, my sister wasn't even like buried yet. Okay. And my brother was already making cancer jokes.
Oh no.
And like, that's just like, and I know it sounds horrible, but like, that's just the kind of thing that we've done to like cope with
Yeah,
the stupid shit that life thrusts upon us.
exactly.
Just laugh it off, and life is not that serious. Like, you
Exactly.
can't take it super seriously.
what would you do? Like it just let it eat you up, or you just take control of it and minimize it as much as you can while you're dealing with the stresses and everything else. And
Yeah.
again, like this is a great conversation because there's so many people out there, and
I hope so. I hope we're not boring people.
I hope we're not boring people. There's lots of people out there. There's lots of people in the audience right now, but lots of people out there that just exclusively know you as the wife of Quentin Flynn. And I wanted to
Yeah.
give people a little bit more of an insight into who you are and what of an amazing person that you are.
Aw,
Because
thank
like even before I talked to Quentin, I spoke with you. Like everyone thinks
Yeah.
that everyone thinks that it's some like massive 4D galaxy brain move that like that Quentin like super secret hired me to do this. Can't like no. I found something funny on the internet. I read it on stream, and then I talked to Sam even before I talked to Quentin.
Yeah.
There's
Right, yeah. Well, like, that's the crazy thing, because what the only reason that you saw all that stuff and made fun of it is because it was being put out there.
exactly.
And like, I just you can't put things one thing I've learned is you cannot put something out on the internet and expect everyone to love it and everyone to fully agree with it, you know?
Exactly.
And so like I feel like it's like, well, all you were doing was, you know, commenting
Yeah.
on what was going on, and lots of people have,
Tons of
it's
people have.
hard not to, because
Yeah.
it gets just kind of shoved down your throat, um and then yeah, I think someone I follow like retweeted you or something along the lines, and that's when I was like, this person is hilarious. So yeah, I was like, they're funny, and like, I I didn't even contact you with the hope of like, yes, another minion to do our bidding. Like,
Seriously.
no, I was like, this person just seems hilarious, and like, that's the thing. Like, you just can't take everything so seriously.
No,
To
exactly.
plug in my phone, because
And I mean like I'm not controllable, right? I'm very much in the
right,
same boat that you are, where like I'm not going to get told what to do. Talk to Reddit's in the chat
right.
again.
Hi, Dr. Reddit.
But like no one can like pay me or tell me what to do, right? Like when it comes down to it,
Yeah,
the whole the whole Vic situation, like I was supporting Vic. I was helping him out all the way that I could. I wasn't doing it for any sort of gain or recognition or anything else like that. Hell, I had his arch nemesis Ron Toye on the show, and I chatted with him
yeah.
over 3 friggin' shows.
I know people didn't like that.
No, people really hated that. People really hated that. But it's like I'll talk to anybody that wants to come on here and talk. They want to come on here
Yeah.
and talk. I'll talk to them, unless they're like an overt troll and like an
Yeah.
absolute troll. That like I think the only person that I won't talk to is a certain 3 initial lunatic. That's people might know who it is because he was really trying to get on Nick Fercata's show. And then he had the opportunity to, and then he flaked. But it was funny. But that's like the only dude that I won't have on the show because he's a weirdo.
Oh, I wish I knew who it was. I can't
I'll tell you after the stream. Just remind me. But yeah, it's like I'll have anyone on here. I'll talk to anybody. Like I give anyone a fair shake. Now, I might not agree with them. I might not like them. I will give them the professional courtesy while they're here on the show. When they're not here, I'll free reign tear them apart. Right? Like I know that Ron Toy was like really upset for some reason. I guess because he made a complete jackass of himself on the interview. It wasn't any of my doing. I was
because he's a cuck.
very much so. I did nothing to, lead him down a path of his own destruction. He just talked. He just opened his mouth and did it for himself.
He buried himself.
He buried himself, and then he's acting after the fact like I was some horrible monster to him. Like I wish I was. However, that's not how I roll on the show.
Right.
But
yeah.
It's just like, yeah, like I don't get paid to take a person's side. I look at things, I make objective decisions. Like when I saw that lawsuit, I swear to God, I heard like somebody told me what happened in that courtroom. They said, I know a person that was in that courtroom and this is what happened. And I told them, I don't believe you. Because it did not sound, it sounded like a fucking episode of The People's Court. Like I'm like, there is no fucking way. There is no fucking way this is serious. I'm like, I need to see a court transcript. I don't believe you. And then eventually, a few days later, after a certain clowny replied to me, literally, I'm asking people for like any details about this court case, and that moron poked their head in and started coming at me. And then I'm like, all right, well, I have no interest in talking to you because you're obviously trolling. And they're like, well, you're going to have to block me to get me to stop. All right.
See, that's weird.
That's weird.
That's crazy.
But eventually some random person on a burner Twitter account DM'd me the entire transcript, which the defendant leaked and had marked down and redacted certain things to try and get a gotcha. And like, it was a fucking hilarious document. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it on stream and I'm going to laugh. And it was a fun time. But yeah.
I remember when you announced you were going to read it. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm kind of nervous. Like, what if we get like fucking clowned on for whatever reason, I was ready for it, to be fair. To be honest.
Well, thankfully you didn't act as your own lawyer. Like, you literally could have gone out and hired Lionel Hutz, and he could have won that case for you.
The fucking chicken lawyer from Futurama.
Seriously. Could have had a briefcase of shredded newspapers and won that case.
See, like, here's the thing. Like, we were told, you better lawyer up.
Yeah.
From,
best advice you could have gotten.
Yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing, like, the court automatically granted me a protection order against the man who assaulted me, so I didn't have to go through all that.
Absolutely.
And then I've seen a hearing with a friend who went through a protection order, and neither of them had lawyers. It was just them talking about what happened, and then the judge made a decision. It was real quick.
Oh yeah.
And so so I was like, well, if we can't get a lawyer, like, we'll do the best we can,
Yeah.
But then we saw better lawyer up, and we were like, oh shit, okay, we'll lawyer up. And then we got there, and only we were lawyered up. And it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that expectation was that you weren't going to get a lawyer, so they didn't have to, and then you did. So that kind of poked a hole in their one tire that they had attached to the car.
Yeah, Well, and like I was I don't want to say too much and like get myself in trouble. I
No, of
don't
course, of
think I
course. Don't
will.
say anything that would be incriminating.
Yeah, I mean I don't think I will, but like um I was just surprised that like I wasn't asked more questions.
Well,
Because
yeah,
I had seriously rehearsed and practiced like
yeah.
what I thought I would be asked.
As
And
you know, what any good lawyer would tell their client to do would be, like make sure you know what you're going to say when you go up there. Like obviously,
yeah. Mhm.
make sure what you're going to
Yeah,
say.
and I was trying to be ready for anything, and then
Yeah,
I wasn't really asked. I think I was asked a couple questions. Well, by the lawyer, by our
yeah,
lawyer.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, not only the one by her, but then when I got off the stand, then she was going on about all these things that I supposedly did. And I was
Well,
like, "Well,
and
why
that's where
didn't?"
the pitfall comes, right? From not having your own
Yeah.
lawyer, because she had you on the stand. She could have asked you all of these things, and you had to answer.
Yeah, I was ready for that. And so I was like, why are you like testifying for me now that I'm off the stand?" Like it was it was weird. Cuz I was sitting there like I I could have clarified all of that. I could have answered all of that, but instead
And
you're saying it like
well, and that's what the judge wanted, right? He wanted the clarification,
yeah.
and she wasn't getting it. And she wasn't getting it because she was taking advice from law Twitter, which are a bunch
Yeah.
of morons.
Yeah. I
Who
mean,
are
thankfully
academic
like
lawyers who are not practicing.
yeah, that's weird. Like that's that's weird. Like my my mom uh she's got her bachelor's in criminal justice and she's getting a master's right now in like cyber law.
Nice.
Um Partly because of what we went through. She
Yeah.
was like, "You guys were screwed
Yeah.
and like more should have been done to help you and protect you." And so I want to go into that. And I was like,
Absolutely.
"Oh yeah, that's cool." Cuz yeah, I do think there needs to be more for that cuz it seems like a lot of law enforcement don't really know like it seems like how social media works and that kind of stuff is still I don't know.
It's such a strange thing because like the
Yeah.
law is like literally 50 years behind. Um,
Yeah.
it's so out of date, and because it's such a slow process to change everything. But the social media laws, it's a fine line between walking that censorship line, right? Because you
Yeah.
want to hold people accountable for things that they say, especially if it's extreme things. Which
Right.
I don't know how much you keep up with Canadian politics, but there was a bill that was passed recently in Canada that addressed that very thing. Like a lot of people out there are screaming censorship, and they're losing their minds because they're saying it's the end of the internet for Canada. The spirit of the bill was designed to be able to identify and take action against people who are basically going on and saying like things that I can't say on YouTube because it'll get me yeeted. It'll get me yeeted off YouTube faster than Doug TenNapel. Let me just say
Yeah.
that. But basically extreme views, right? Because there was an individual that literally drove a van on a sidewalk and killed a Muslim family, and he had been posting about doing it on Facebook for like a week or two, and there was no way for like, and people just didn't take him seriously. But now there's like, if you get flagged for that, now you can be investigated basically immediately, if it's warranted, right? It's not like, I'm gonna say, pro insert radical group here, and then, as a joke, and then I'm gonna have the FBI break into my house. That's not the way it's gonna be. It's gonna be like, no, they're gonna look at you and say, okay, how much of a risk is this person of actually causing harm to somebody? Like,
Right.
they say, don't go here, I'm gonna plant a bomb in this area, blah blah blah. Like, that's what they're targeting with this. And and it's huge public pushback because everyone's screaming censorship, everyone's screaming freedom of speech, this, that, and everything else, blah blah blah. And so you have that tightrope that you have to walk between okay, well, what can people say? And what
Yeah.
is actionable by law at that point? Because, like, the stuff that
Yeah.
you guys went through, and, like, literally having a lunatic LARP on fucking social media as, like, 3 different people to try and get around blocks, to try and get around whatever else.
More than that.
And yeah, more than that. Like, where does it end in terms of, like, because, I mean, for the freedom of speech absolutists, they should be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is, where does it cross the line between being lawful and being a criminal action?
Right. Yeah. And that was the issue that we ran into a lot.
Yeah.
We actually so this is really aggravating. But one specific person who was looking at the case, they actually contacted this person.
Yeah.
And this was like before, the protection order talks started, anything like that. Um, 'Cause, we believed it was going into criminal territory.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to get, law enforcement on board to look at what was going on and
Yeah.
see if our suspicions were correct and what we could do next. And this specific person contacted her and then came right back to us and said, well, she seems really nice.
Of course they do.
I don't think I don't think she's capable of all this stuff. And we were like y- it-
I mean, like, Jeffrey Dahmer seemed pretty nice too, right?
yeah, exactly. I'm like, would you tell a
Jesus
freaking like
Christ.
murder victim's family member, like, the guy you think murdered your family member, he's actually pretty nice. He's a good guy. Like, it's
Well,
just so
didn't that happen with
tone-deaf.
Lizzie Borden? Wasn't that the story behind that? She just seems so sweet
so.
and calm.
I think so. Yeah, right?
He's not
Yikes.
capable of killing anybody.
I actually just watched a true crime video about this couple. They got married, and then she the wife was like, Christian her whole life, was very quiet, shy, reserved, good little Christian church going girl.
Yeah.
And then the husband ended up murdered
Oh my
at the
gosh.
bottom of a cliff. And long story short, she basically she didn't want to be married, and she didn't want to get a divorce because she thought it was against, her church, and
Right.
her family would disapprove. And so basically, to get out of it and get rid of him, she pushed him off a fucking cliff and killed him. And like people in the family were just blown away, because it's like, what? you know like people unfortunately have a really dark side to them that,
Some people
you
do.
know yeah, it's scary and it's twisted, and makes you kind of like, yeah. I just remember being so aggravated when that happened. 'Cause
I mean, we
you
see
just
it.
don't say that.
We see it all the time, right? Where we see people, and it's the same story. It's the same story, and I don't understand why it's such a hard thing to wrap our heads around. But we see it all the time. It's like, oh, that person was so quiet. I can't believe that they, like, took their own life, or that, they were such great students. I can't believe that they shot a school up. Like, there's sometimes no trigger for this that is
Right.
visible. No trigger for this, but people can act perfectly functional and be psychopaths. That's the literal
Yeah.
definition of psychopath. Like,
Yeah, big time.
it's
But like, the unfortunate thing with that is that i- the internet is trying to convince you that, everyone is a psychopath. And there's, like,
Well,
it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier,
like everyone on
people
Twitter
being
might be.
so, yeah, people being so risk averse, and
Exactly.
they see evil everywhere they look.
Yes.
And it's like, guys, like, I promise you the world is not really that scary. I promise you that the majority of people, and I genuinely believe this, the majority of people are good people, have
Yeah.
good intentions, and we all make mistakes. We all hurt people,
Absolutely.
whether on purpose, by accident, whatever. But that doesn't mean that everyone is evil. It's like going back to what I was saying about after I was assaulted, Like, yeah, I had to work through some PTSD about being around people again, and
Yeah.
people getting too close to me in public. Like, that stuff still kind of made me flinch.
Mm-hmm.
But I recognized it, and I was like, hold on, that's not fair to all these other people, because they didn't do anything to me. And they
Exactly.
could be very good people, and I'm writing off people because I think they're as bad as that man was.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. And I I feel like it has to be a very sad existence to try to see evil everywhere you go.
Seriously though. And
It seems like a lot of them make it up.
that's not a world problem either. That's an individual problem. Right?
Yeah.
That's an individual's problem all the time. Like, it's the same thing when you look at relationships. Just boil it down to something very basic and very common. Relationships, right? If you look at if you are out there as an individual and you're like, well, every man or every woman or every whatever else is a cheating blah 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 blah, so I have to do something first, or I have to be super paranoid. No, that's not their problem. You're projecting your problems onto them.
Exactly.
You're projecting your fear, your insecurities, everything onto them. And it's a lot of that stuff, like when kids get mad at their parents, right? Or they hate their parents, it's because they see things that their parents do. They see traits in their parents that they do themselves that they are not proud of, or they emulate or they control, and they lash out at their parents for doing that.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing. And this seeing like this constant need to like white knight and go and defend people's, it's the fucking internet, people.
Right.
Have you sat down and had a conversation with anybody before you jump in there like fucking Mr. President to fucking take a bullet for someone on Twitter?
Yeah. Like wow.
It's so bizarre.
What's funny about people like that is I wonder, like, okay, so what are you doing in your day-to-day life to help people? Or are you just white knighting online so that you look righteous?
Yeah. You're 100% correct. They do nothing in their life, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because
news at 11.
They tweet 500 times a day. They tweet literally every 6 minutes. There is no time in the day for them to actually do anything else.
Right.
It's that insane. Like, they just exist in this fantasy world, and like someone in the chat was saying, everyone's the hero of their own story.
Yep. Yeah.
Which I mean someone's got to be a villain, right? And they have to make up villains.
We have to find villains everywhere because we can't be the villain. No. It's that person. They're the bad one.
Exactly.
That seems to always be the story. People never want to look at themselves and be like, okay, what was my part? What and how is my reaction to this, helping me?
Exactly.
It's not, we are entitled to feel how we feel. We, can't control our emotions sometimes.
Yeah.
We can be sad, we can be angry. But I know from my own experience, holding on to resentment and anger and rage, it's not good for you.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's like I said to a friend of mine recently. Like, there's an old, I don't remember which culture it came from, but it's an old proverb where it's basically, you have slain the beast, you have cut the beast down, but you are so afraid that it's going to rise back up that you hold on to the blade. You don't let go of the blade. You keep the blade in the beast, in the demon that you've killed, because you're so afraid of it getting back up. You keep yourself there. You keep yourself attached. And until you learn that you can let go of that, because you've defeated it once, it doesn't matter if it gets up 100 more times. You can defeat it again, but you have to let go. You have to detach yourself from it to move on, because otherwise you're gonna stay there, and you're gonna be attached to it forever.
Yeah, and like you shouldn't let the bad things that happen define you. Like,
shouldn't. No.
you know, I remember one of the biggest things that my first PTSD therapist who was working with me after the assault.
Yeah.
I remember like one of the most helpful things she told me, which was try to get in the habit of, you know, you're so much more than what he did. You're so much more than a victim. And you don't just want to be a survivor, you want to be a thriver.
Exactly.
And that's all the kind of stuff I try to remember day to day, like regardless of whatever bad thing that happens to me, however I'm slighted, if someone does something to hurt me, it's like I can choose to just barely get by and be miserable and let that drag me down, or I can choose to thrive and move forward and focus on me.
Yeah.
Because I'm the only one I can control, you know?
Exactly.
Can't control other people, can't control how they react.
Nope.
So, no use wasting time on it, pretty much.
Yeah. I'm 100% the same way. Now, I am the queen of holding grudges. I'll fully admit that.
I'm working on it.
I 100% unabashedly, unapologetically hold grudges. That's just me.
Hey, at least you acknowledge it. That's more than a lot of people can say. Okay?
Exactly.
Like we need to have more self-awareness.
We do. We have to be able to laugh at ourselves. We have to laugh at ourselves, right? There's tons of people out there right now on the internet, and like I am perfectly fine. Like, just another wrestling term here, shoot me, but I am perfectly fine being top heel. I'm totally cool with that. You want to hate me, you want to like all the heat on me, no problem, go for it. I can take it. I can laugh at myself. You want to make fun of me, make fun of me. If I'm laughing in your face, if I'm making fun of you, turnabout's fair play. All I ask is that you make it entertaining. Like, for God's sake, don't write two paragraphs that you have to like map out with a freaking galaxy map for me to figure out what the joke is.
That tweet cracked me up. Good job on making an insult that people need a roadmap to understand. and then one time I think you told a journalist, "Oh, nice writing. Who's your supervisor, or do you report to a toilet?"
Exactly.
I was laughing so hard because like I was like, God, see, that's what I want to be. Like I just want to like just dish out like, that kind of shit and just laugh at people.
And like, most of the time, like I don't even give like 10 seconds of thought to it. Honestly, I just like
that's
throw
good.
it out there.
Doesn't deserve that.
Doesn't deserve 10 seconds of thought. Like the people that are just like, well, that was a really lame joke. Like, yeah, I spent no time thinking of it. I was literally on the toilet and I tweeted it. There you go. That's as much of your worth to me as I'm willing to give.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Like, I wish I wasn't so sensitive. Like, honestly, I applaud you because, like, it really depends on like the day and what exactly is being said to me, about me, whatever. But for the most part, like, yeah, I wish I wasn't so sensitive in the
I feel that, yeah.
like the first hit when you first read something awful or you first, get told something awful, it's like, oh, ouch. But then like over time, if I sleep it off, if I do something else, I can move on from it. But yeah, I'm still having to deal with like that initial hurt because like it's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but when, those girls were taking pictures of my face
Hmm.
and making fun of how I look,
Yeah.
making fun of my makeup, making fun of whatever they could about me.
Yeah.
And like that really, really hurt and it like struck a nerve in me because like that was always something I was really insecure about growing up. Like I was bullied a lot and called ugly a lot and
Yeah.
like I hadn't really dealt with that so much in adult years cuz people grow up and they don't say shit like that anymore. Um but then yeah, being made fun of like that on a public scale, like
Hmm.
I wasn't used to that and it was really humiliating. Like
It's rough.
the
Yeah.
closest I've gotten to that um when I was in college for a couple years, I did some modeling. Um I was modeling for the Nebraska Husker football team. We
Nice.
did calendars and stuff like that.
That's
And then I
awesome.
did a few like little random things here and there. But anyway, yeah, like that job, obviously I was on display. People were looking at me.
Yeah.
My appearance was everything. And so I kind of got picky with how I looked. And, they wanted a certain look from me. And, well, you're too tan. Well, now you're too pale. And, your hair, your makeup, blah, 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 blah. And then it only got, you know, it got better over time when I left that kind of job. Um, but that was still something I thought that I moved on from. I was
Right.
like, "Oh, yeah, I feel fine with myself. I'm comfortable with myself. I don't need other people to tell me I'm pretty or whatever, like, I'm fine."
Yeah.
But then as soon as I was being, like, called ugly and whatever the fuck else on a public scale,
Yeah.
I was just like, "What?"
It
Like,
brought a lot of that
it
insecurity back,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it brought a lot of that back, and it kinda put me in, like, the middle schooler brain when I would
Yeah.
be bullied by mean girls, and I'd be called ugly or whatever the fuck, and it it
Yeah.
it took me back there, and I was just like, "Man," in all my interactions with these people, I never once attacked their looks, because I always believed, like, "That's mean, that's a low blow, like,
Yeah.
that's not nice." It hurts me, I don't want it to hurt other people. Um, so I was just like, I I never went that low with you. Why are you going that low with me?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know? What did I do aside from marry someone that you wanted? Like, I'm
That
sorry
was a
to put it
cardinal
that way.
sin,
Yeah,
apparently.
exactly. Like and I was trying to convince cuz I'm I'm not the kind of person that's like, "Oh, they're just jealous. They're just jealous." Cuz like I don't think of myself that way. Like I don't think
Yeah.
of myself as something to be jealous of. I'm just a person. I'm just me. Um and again though, I tried talking sense. I tried being like, "Look, you are out of line. You need to mind your business. You need to leave me alone. You need to leave him alone.
Yeah.
And, good luck to you, whatever." Like I was stern, but I thought I was pretty fucking nice. Okay.
Stern but
Um
fair, yeah.
exactly. Well, because I mean, I was being absconded by some anonymous account with a fucking Animal Crossing picture. And I didn't know this person. They didn't
Probably
have a
don't even
name.
play Animal Crossing.
Right. And they were like, "Oh, are you seeing Married to Quentin Flynn?" And I was like, "Who's this?"
You know, that weirdo that messaged you?
Yeah, and that's when it all kind of started and you know, uh it- she just messaged me so much shit, just feigning all of her like emotional problems onto me.
That's
And
really
I
what it
just
is,
was
right?
like, yeah, I was like, I don't know who you think you are, but you have a lot of nerve to come into my DMs when you won't even tell me who you are. You don't know me. I don't know you. And you're asking for things that are not your business. Like, you have a lot of nerve. I could not imagine doing that to anybody.
No,
Okay?
exactly.
That's that's wild. And so it's like, well, okay, put yourself in my position. You are newlywed and
Yeah.
you've got some random chick in your DMs claiming, which was a lie, by the way, claiming, "Oh, I've been seeing him the whole time you've been married." And I'm like,
The lie detector
"Really?"
has determined that was a lie.
Right. I was like, "Really? Because I've been with them like every waking second." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And so I quickly was able to realize, like, okay, this person is
They're pretty full of
booked.
shit.
They're full of shit. I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know why they're coming into my DMs saying all
Yeah.
this shit. Because they were saying all that shit about him to me, but then to him, they would still try to be like nice and sweet and
Of
friendly. And I'm
course.
like,
Absolutely.
yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna block this fucking person. So I
Good idea.
blocked. Yeah. Like I said though, I did leave a stern message. I just said, you know
Yeah.
what? It's not our problem that you're sad or blindsided, whatever, that he moved on. The fact of the matter is, that's your own thing to deal with. It's not our
Exactly.
responsibility. And what's sad is that I feel like no other adult in her life has told her that before.
Well, that's a problem with today's society right now.
Yeah.
That is a problem that we've been dealing with and we're going to be dealing with for the next 10 years. Because just after, like, the generation that just came after me, basically, the last couple of years that I was in high school and public school, they started rolling in this, like, forced acceptance thing. Like, you didn't have to pass. You didn't
Oh
have to,
god.
like, no matter how bad you did in school, you had to like, you went on to the next grade. Like,
Yikes.
you didn't have to pass things because the teachers would get in shit for failing students. And like, it was the tail end of that when I was in high school. But then, like, that I was like the last I was the first generation after they nixed grade 13. But after a few years after that, they basically made it so that you could not fail. No matter how bad or how disassociated you were with the work or anything else like that, you would get a 51 as the absolute worst mark, and you would be forced through the system, and it's basically like a participation ribbon.
Right.
Like that's what it was, and everyone was told, like going through, oh, like the world deserves to have you, blah 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 blah. You are entitled to the number one spot. You're entitled to a position. You're entitled to this. You're gonna go here. We're gonna get you placements and blah 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 blah. And when that stuff doesn't happen, the entire school system set you up. Like, and this is after me, because I had some old school teachers which were very good teachers and they kept things 100. But
Good.
newer teachers are basically told to just fluff up these kids, tell a class of 100 students that there's 100 number one positions out there for them. And when they get out there and they find out, oh shit, I can't get a job. Like, I went to school for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. I can't get a job.
Yeah.
Because I have no experience. I have to work for free. I have to intern for free before I can even get my foot in the door of my career. And like lucky, unlucky, like I moved out of my parents' place at 15 because my dad moved cities midway through my final year of high school. I'm like, I'm not leaving. So I stayed, like, I was on my own working at 15, going to high school, finish up my high school. I had a full-time job by 16. Like, paying rent by 16. So like, I had the experience and I had the drive and all that stuff. I learned a lot of stuff early, so that when I eventually went to college wasn't my deal, but I wasn't huge on
It's
college.
not for everybody.
It really isn't.
Uh,
It really isn't. But like getting to college at 20 instead of 18 is a huge difference maker. Like even 17, huge difference maker. And just like, it wasn't for me. I went for art and design, took film and psychology as well. But I didn't like the college life. It was terrible. It was like, the people were so self-absorbed. They all believed that they were the best ever.
of course.
They massive egos, and they were terrible. Like, of course, it had the popular people that were just like, oh yeah, we're the best at everything, blah 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 blah. Like, there's a fun story I had in my psychology class. Basically, the teacher, the way that she did like 80% of the marking for that class, which was like the big presentation for the year, was that she would assign, because there's like 6 parts to the textbook, so that she would break the class up into 6 groups, and we each had to study and read that one part of the textbook in order to present it efficiently and do a big presentation and show it off and blah 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 and let people understand it, and we get graded on that, etc. Now there were 7 topics in the book, but she would always cover the 7th one because she didn't like students covering the other one, like the 7th one, because they always had a really hard time doing it. So they break it up into 6 groups, and she gave an option to teams, to the entire class, before assigning groups, saying like, look, you guys can either be in that group, and no matter what, everyone has to stay together, even if even if one person's not doing anything, you all get credit for it, or we can set it so that if someone is not working out, then you can do a team vote, and then you can kick that person out, and then everyone gets credit for the work that they do. So we ended up doing the latter, and unfortunately for me, because the group that I was with was not a very healthy situation, because it was people that had egos, and I didn't get along with the popular one in the group, so they ended up voting me out. And there was only one other topic that I could do, or else I'd be forfeiting 80% of my mark. So I took up the topic that the teacher basically said, the professor said, this one's really hard to do. Basically, the topic was, I can't remember what the hell it was called. It was like cognitive learning or something like that. It's basically, it was different types of learning, right? Like, obviously, the easiest one was like Pavlov. Like, there's something to do with Pavlov. There's a term for it specifically. I can't remember it now. But it's basically like, when you hear something, it's associated with learning and blah, blah, blah. There's easy ones like that. This one was like, you learn through your experiences, and you use your past experiences those past experiences shape how you do things in the future. And so one of the other people in the group that I got kicked out of didn't like the fact that they kicked me out, and so she left them and joined me to do this topic. So we were researching it, we were doing it. And she was really good on the academic side. She was really nervous on the presentation side. And I was horrible at public speaking. Like, I know you guys can't tell it, but I'm like not a big public speaker at all. No joke. I'm not a public speaker.
Different. Like,
it really is. So when it came to the presentation, she froze up, and I'm like, okay, shit. Well, I'm like, because I had this idea of what we're gonna do, and I'm like, well, how can I really make this like hit home? Because like I had this like little movie thing set up and this little presentation set up. I'm like, okay, but I'm like, we need something else. I'm like, what the hell can I do? So 5 minutes before, I go out and buy 2 chocolate bars, come into the class, and as we're setting up, I think it's like cognitive science or something like that, cognitive something or other. But so anyway, we come into the class. I come into the class with the 2 chocolate bars, and I write a question on the chalkboard. As we're just to give us time to set up. I'm like, hey everyone, we just need a few minutes to set up, because it was like some complex thing. Getting a fucking video to play in PowerPoint is a goddamn nightmare, by the way.
I don't miss those days.
So I'm trying to set this video up on PowerPoint. I need like 5 minutes. I need to buy myself 5 minutes. So I write on the chalkboard a question. I basically like asked, would you rather spend a week without showering but wearing new clothes every day, or would you rather be able to change your clothes every day but not shower for a week? Like, that was the question. Like, if you had to do that, what would you do? And so like I'm doing that up, and then blah 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 blah. And so like I finished the setup, we're all good to go, and I'm like, okay guys, like what's your answer? Like, what would people do? Like, put your hand up if you would do this. put your hand up if you do that. And like no one was really participating. Like there was only a few people. I'm like, okay, well, pointed out one person. Why would you do that? Like why would you do that? They're like, oh, because I would rather shower every day and blah 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 because I can do this and whatever else. And then I'm like, okay, what? Then another person, like the first person that raised their hand, I gave them a chocolate bar.
Nice.
And they're like, okay, they're like, oh my god, that's amazing. And so when I asked the next person, I'm like, the next question, everybody raised their hand.
Right.
Because they wanted a chocolate bar. And so like that was the thing. And so like that, I'm like, okay, so now you guys have learned that there's a reward for this. I'm like, this is an example of what we're going to be teaching here. And so we got to that whole thing, and that whole presentation. And the teacher was so impressed. We ended up getting like a 98% on that on that presentation.
That's
on
cool.
that topic. She's like, I've never seen it like done so well before. And the other question was later in the, because I know there's some nerds out there that would find this funny. There is a question later on. We played a clip from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and I asked what character appeared in that video, and everyone put their hand up because they all wanted a chocolate bar.
Right.
Even though I didn't say that there was a reward for there was a reward for answering it. When I asked the first question, there was, so they all learned that there was a reward for answering it, so they were more inclined to do it the next time.
It's the ape brain, I swear.
It is. It's the weird.
People
it's the
are
weird
so
brains.
Oh god.
And so yeah, and the
whatever.
group that kicked me out had such a terrible presentation. They were like, they had no idea what they were talking about. They had like the easiest one too. I'm pretty sure they had the Pavlov mode of learning, like the associated sound or smell or whatever else. I'm pretty sure that they had that one, like literally the easiest presentation, and they ended up bombing it and getting like a 72. So it was poetic justice there. But
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I don't even know why I got off on that tangent, but that was
I don't remember how we got here either, but it sent me back into like college memories.
College brain.
God. That was something else. It's wild to me that though you still had ideas of like popular kids, because like by the time and of course it's different everywhere, whatever college you go to, but like by the time I got to college, I was like, oh my god, there's no cliques.
Yeah,
like everyone's just cool with each other and we can all get along. And
you would think there's no cliques, but there are. They're just less pronounced.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of sad. And I realized that like by the time I got into I think it was like my second year. So I was the drum major for our marching band.
Yeah.
And I kind of helped the band director to like pick music we were gonna play for halftime shows, and I would direct and blah blah blah. I did all this kind of stuff. And with the band kids in band class, like I had so much fun because like everyone was cool, everyone was into music, obviously, and we all kind of had the similar senses of humor. But then when I got into my regular classes, which again was like business classes,
yeah,
I was like, everyone's like wearing a suit. I'm like, guys, it's just class.
Seriously.
But yeah,
it's practice.
They were wearing like suits and they were pretty snotty and just annoying, and yeah, they were snotty to me, not all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was just so weird. And I remember telling my friend in band, I was like, everyone's so nice in band, but like I really hate the people in my classes. And she was like, look at what you're studying, Sam, duh. I was like, okay, sorry, God. So yeah, people.
It's so funny.
People are interesting.
It's like that everywhere. Like you go to a job, you go to a job and you see that. Like every fucking place. Like it's so insane. Like someone mentioned Funimation in the chat. Funimation is a fucking circus. Like it's literally. It is a cult. It is. Absolutely. Like I have said this 1,000 times. I don't think people believe me yet. But when you look at it, It's so funny because there is a convention that announced Chris Sabat as a guest. And I've been saying 1,000 times, I'm like, if you want Chris Sabat, you have to absorb half of the Funimation cast. Like, you don't get a choice. You have to take the Jamie Markeys, you have to take the Monica Rials, you have to take the no names that are literally just being paid to sit there and do nothing. Yeah. They're not bringing anybody into your convention. You're literally just paying out free space for these people to sit there and eat at a hotel and eat at buffets. Right. If you want Chris Sabat, if you want the Sean Schemmels, if you want the people that actually bring people in the door, you need to sacrifice a pint of blood.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like
and so that convention announced Chris Sabat, and the funny part was someone, I don't remember who it was, so I'm sorry I can't give you credit for it, but they mentioned, oh yeah, before COVID happened, this convention had Jamie Markey and Monica Rial at it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. I've said it. Go down every single Funimation convention, every single convention that has had Funimation sponsoring it or involved with it. It's the same fucking song and dance. You have to take in 12 to 13 fucking Funimation voice actors that nobody knows in order to get a Chris Sabat or a Sean Schemmel or what have you, because they won't give you their top star. You have to take in fucking 15 other people.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. Like, at least when I was working on conventions, like, I never really dealt with like Funimation.
Yeah, I will never deal with Funimation.
I mean, there's like a couple that I like, that, you know, acknowledge a lot of the problems there and want to try to fix it, and like, hats off to them, you know.
I will say this. I will deal with Raid Shadow Legends before I deal with Funimation.
Yeah. Shit. Oh god.
I will deal with them before I deal with Funimation. That is a never happening type of thing.
Well, like, to be totally honest with you, you know, like, I mean, you know, like, I don't know a lot about like the newer anime, you know. I know like the stuff that I grew up on, not, you know, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, like those. And if people aren't from those, I don't know anything about them, and I know that's terrible. But like, you know, I see a lot of the Funimation people, like, they haven't really done much. Like,
they haven't.
Like, what I think Monica's claim to fame right now is that she's the frog girl.
No, that's Jamie Markey.
Oh, it's Jamie? I didn't know who it was.
It's Jamie Markey was the frog girl. Monica's big claim to fame, I think, right now is still Bulma is probably her biggest one. I know she's had a couple lead roles in some obscure animes.
Yikes.
But it's just I know she had she had another role in. Oh, Monica is the frog? I thought it was Jamie.
Oh, okay.
Jamie's the one. Oh, Jamie's the giantess. Okay, so Monica is the frog.
Yeah, and like I like My Hero Academia, and but like I don't watch it dubbed.
Right.
I watch it subbed because I remember like a couple years ago when I started getting into it.
Yeah.
I was like, I really don't like where the voices are going. I don't like.
You don't like the translations?
Well, no, I don't know about the translations. It was just like I felt like, yeah, the Japanese voices were kind of better.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucked because I'm not usually a snob about that. Like, I enjoy Naruto dubbed. I enjoy, well, like Hellsing, you know, it was good that they dubbed Hellsing so well, because the thing with Hellsing is that there's people from so many different countries and nationalities and cultures and backgrounds in it, that everyone kind of has like an accent and certain ways how they speak, and so it was really cool because in English it was easier for them to capture all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like sometimes dubs can be beneficial and cool, but yeah, in the case of I don't know, like I know Funimation also dubbed, I think they dubbed Tokyo Ghoul, and I was like,
We've done a
man,
lot.
I love the Tokyo Ghoul story, and when I heard like how they like voiced my man Kaneki, I was like, why do they have to make all of the main men like little fucking crybabies? Like give them such high pitched ridiculous voices. I was like, man, come on. So I don't know.
No, I
I've
agree.
never really been a big fan of a
And
lot
like
of the
the
Funimation
thing
stuff.
is, I being Canadian never had to suffer through Funimation voice acting, because we had the Ocean dub. We had a different set of voice actors.
Oh wow.
Because there's a funny thing in Canada called the CRTC, which requires companies to provide at minimum like 60%, I think, or like 55% Canadian
Yeah.
content. And so they forced the dubs to be Canadian or like have majority of Canadian actors to be allowed to be played in Canada. So like for Dragon Ball, we didn't have Sean Schemmel as Goku. We didn't have Chris Sabat as Vegeta. We had different voice actors do the
It's for
entire
the
dub.
best.
And coincidentally, apparently, the Ocean dub is where the famous over 9,000 mistranslation came from.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
But yeah, so we didn't have those voice actors when I was growing up listening to anime here, because we had a
Yeah.
completely different set of voice actors doing it, which they were fantastic. I mean, for the time.
Yeah.
And
Good.
from all I'm hearing, from the Funimation side of things, they're pretty bent out of shape anytime one of the other voice actors go to conventions that they're at, because they think that they're the king shit of voice acting. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
like,
they're not. And like that's what I really want to break apart too. I mean,
yeah.
again, I know I have like these big wild dreams, but like seriously, like I feel horrible for people like Vic
Oh,
who
absolutely.
like first of all, just on a personal level, sweetest man.
Yeah,
Like he he's a total sweetheart. And like it broke my heart to see what he was going through, and he didn't deserve it at all. And
he really didn't.
it's not fair that, you know, he spent years like working on his craft and building a fan base. You know, he was out there, you know, doing so much for like the anime dubbing community, I guess you could say.
Absolutely, he was pioneering basically the whole
Yeah.
convention scene for voice actors in anime.
Yeah, yeah. So he,
Yeah,
you know, he did so much good. And like I always liked stuff that he did.
yeah.
Um I think my favorite is Spirit in Soul Eater. My mom loved that character too. She's always like, "Oh, I really want to meet Vic because I think he's as pretty as his character Spirit Albarn in Soul Eater."
Aw.
And I'm like, "Mom, stop." I'm not gonna hook you up with Vic Manana, Mom. but but yeah, like he's a sweetheart, and he, you know, he gets in the hearts of so many people.
He really
Obviously, you know, he's
does.
got so many dedicated people
He really
who
does.
want to defend him, and that's so awesome. And it's because of all of the work he's put in to building that and putting himself out there.
And like
And
being personal with people, like
yeah,
building that connection with fans. It's
yeah, big
really
time.
important.
For sure. And I feel like that gets overlooked. Like, I mean, you know, I don't want to like you know, be super obvious or anything
Go
and, you
for it.
know, talk good about him just because I'm married to him. But like before there was anything like that, like the people told me that they loved when Quentin was a guest
Hmm.
because he was so personable and he was humble and he was kind and he was funny and he was
Yeah.
down to earth. And he never turned people away. Like I know
Yeah.
um there was a con where like he's told me the story. I can't quite remember it, but basically autographs were supposed to be over and everyone else packed up and left. But he looked at his line and he was like, I'm not going to push all these people away. Hey guys, I'm still going to sign for you, like
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. And that happened at the recent convention. Like, he still had kind of a long line and we had a panel coming up and staffers were like, "Oh, we can cut off the line, we can cut people off for you." And I said, "No, he doesn't like doing that.
Yeah.
Like he wants to make the fans happy."
Exactly.
And, I've seen a lot of that like in Vic too. And it just sucks that it seems like all the ones like that are the ones getting kind of shit on,
Well, because
honestly.
when you look at it too, it's those actors and that level of actor that get targeted, largely because they're more successful than the other people, but also because these individuals that are attacking them, that are their fellow voice actors, by the way, that are
Yeah,
attacking them, they're hoping that by creating a void that they'll be able to fill that void when they have no fucking idea what it takes to get to there. Because
right.
if they did, they would be there.
Yeah.
It's demand by the fan, and it's demand by what you put into your position. It's like you can't just take out a Vic or a Quentin, or like you can't take out a Scott McNeil, right? And then expect that you're just going to get everything from them,
Right, that you're gonna,
like that
take
you're
their
gonna fill
spot
their
and all your
spot.
fans will flock to you. Yeah, no.
Like in these situations, right? As from a company's perspective, even if you look at the company, they're not going to replace a Vic or a Quentin with a Monica Rial. They're not going to replace them with a Chris Sabat. I mean, not that he would, but they're not going to
Yeah.
replace him from like from any of these like low tier nobodies. They're going to go out and seek someone who sounds exactly like them to fill them in because they don't want the paycheck that goes along with the voice.
Mhm.
They just want everyone to think that's the same voice.
Right.
And so from the company's perspective, they don't really care about the fan experience,
Yeah, and that's a
which
shame.
it's a terrible shame, which is what these voice actors that are attacking people see. They see the company doesn't give a shit about fans, and they just assume, well, if I cut the legs out from this person who I'm competing against, I'm going to get their spot. No, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not.
You're
Because
not going to get their spot.
the kinds of things that, like I was saying, that people like Vic and like Quentin built up, that doesn't happen overnight, and it's not luck. It's work.
Exactly. It's
It's
work.
hard work.
Yeah.
And also, you gotta kind of be a likable person, and not all of us are. So
Exactly.
if you're not likable, it's like I can't imagine right now, for instance, even if you like her, I can't imagine who would want to meet Monica Rial.
Seriously. All the
She's
tens of her followers.
yeah, all those
Like
simps.
it's
They'd
insanity.
probably they'd probably just meet her so that they can say that they've met a girl.
Like this is the thing. People think they like her because they like the characters that she portrays. She's
Right.
not those characters. Like there's a
No.
difference between a Vic, a Quentin, a Scott McNeil. There's a difference between that tier of voice actor who brings a piece of themselves to whatever character they're playing, right?
Yeah.
Like from what I've seen from Quentin, Quentin doesn't just read the notes on the paper, like read the shit on the paper. Vic doesn't just read the shit on the paper, right?
Right.
They bring an aspect of themselves to the role, and that's why the roles are so relatable. That's why the roles are so memorable, because they put themselves into that character. When you
Yeah.
have these other voice actors that just go in and want to do one or two takes and that's it. They just want to read the notes in the
Right.
paper, get paid, and then that's it. So
Well,
when you
yeah,
go and
I
meet
think-
them,
yeah.
like when you go and meet them, they don't have any personality that is even
Right.
close to what they're portraying.
Hell no. And I feel like that's where a common misconception is. It's like, people think that obviously I'm not a voice actor, but
Yeah.
from what I've seen, it's like, um, a lot of people seem to be confused that they think, oh, voice actor, I just show up and I just talk and they record me talking, being goofy, and then that's it. And it's
Exactly.
like what Quentin always tells people who ask him at cons or whatever. It's like you gotta be an actor first.
You have to.
Yeah.
There's
and
so
then-
many things that that need to go into it.
Yeah, you have to, want to do it. You have to put your soul into it.
Absolutely.
Like with anything that we do work wise.
Yeah.
Or else people are gonna see that it's disingenuous and
And they're not going to
it's
believe
not-
it.
yeah, it's not gonna be believable. I mean, like, okay. I okay, so I know certain people like to think that, like, I don't know. All I'm gonna say is I'm not like a massive fan of any of the major characters that Quentin has done. Okay,
Right.
like I've never played Kingdom Hearts. I've never played. Matter of fact, I make fun of Kingdom Hearts. Sorry. And never played Metal Gear. Like, obviously I watched Naruto growing up, but it's not like I was like thirsty over Ruka.
No,
you know?
exactly.
Like I just I saw him for the person that he was. I didn't just see him as the characters. And so but I love seeing how much of an impact that his characters make on people. Like,
Yeah.
at the last convention, like, I was almost in tears because this girl came up to him and was like, I was really alone growing up as a kid. Like, I don't know if she said like her parents weren't around or, she just had a lot of conflict in her family. I don't remember the whole story. But basically her point was, I played Kingdom Hearts to get me through that and to cheer me up. And, your character, Axel, meant so much to me. And, I just want to thank you for that. And, we heard things like that so much. And
Absolutely.
it was so cool seeing that. Like, like, no matter what cancellations people try to do on the internet, they can't take that away.
No, they
They
can't.
will never be able to take away the impact that his work has had on people.
His work has had and will continue to have. Because those games aren't going anywhere.
No.
They're not getting patched over. I mean,
No.
some shitty games on Riot might, but
Yeah. Well, and what's
PR
what's funny
nightmares
is
that come out of
you know,
that fucking company.
Yeah, you see companies like Blizzard too, like
Yeah.
how the mighty have fallen.
How the mighty have taken a knee for China.
Exactly. Like, oops. And it's really sad because, like, obviously I have my Reaper blanket. I love Overwatch. My brother got me into it. It was the first person shooter I had ever like played and tried to get really good at. And like, I love it. I love the characters, I love the lore. But it's like, ugh, Blizzard. Like,
Seriously.
like, come
Seriously.
on. Like, it's so sad seeing all these like companies that were once about, the art and the fans and, creating for the sake of creating
Yeah.
and putting something great out there. And now it's just about, how can we appease the mobs?
And you can't appease them. This is the point.
No.
And it's not even about appeasing the mobs anymore. That may have been the case 5-10 years ago. right? That when this thing first started happening, 2016, 2017, it might have been about appeasing the mobs at that point, but now they realize these people don't spend money. They realize these people don't have sway or any sort of social influence whatsoever. It's like I posted an article on Twitter. It's literally a fraction of a percent of a fraction that are the ones making all of this noise. They are literally like 10 people, if that. Half of them are probably duplicate accounts. But companies aren't stupid. They realize this. They're just using it as a convenient excuse.
Yeah, for sure.
They want controllable talent.
Yeah. And if you don't bend the knee, then get out.
Exactly.
And, I learned that lesson very quickly early on in my, career. And that's why I was like, man, I just want to do it myself. Because,
exactly.
Like, I don't trust anybody who tries to, figure out what's best for me and in my life. And again, would throw you under the bus the second that something goes wrong.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter, how well they know you, how long you've been with them, what kind of rapport you have. If you're not useful anymore, then you're basically dead. And I hate that. It's not fair. It's not cool.
And I used to work in a company that the management would get so pissed off if they had to do their job.
Yeah.
Like if as a baseline employee, you came to them with a problem without a solution, they got so mad. And as a manager, it got even worse as it went up the chain. It's like it's these people, they don't want to do their jobs. They don't want to have any effort. Just want to go in and collect a paycheck and take all the accolades. They don't want to do any work.
Right.
And like they're starting to fall apart now. Look at what's happening with Disney. They got 2 black eyes. After they lost Gina Carano, they lost John Boyega.
Oh yeah.
Because they wanted to put a leash on him and he said, "Go fuck yourself."
What kills me though about companies like Disney, it's really convenient now for them to be, oh, we're so woke.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, this is the same company that was, underpaying women animators back in the day.
Absolutely.
That was not hiring people based on your race, based on your sex, based on whatever. And they have such a sketchy past. And I'm not saying, they can't grow and improve. Obviously, things are a product of their time.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's really convenient now for you to try to purge everything and make yourself appear like this woke company when, like,
it's never been a part of their identity. Like,
no, never.
They were literally built on the backs of like all of the negative shit that they fight against nowadays. Which, I mean, great for them for finally standing up for something, but don't pretend like you've never done it before.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, so if you guys as a company can, learn from your mistakes, learn from the past, and move on, why can't anybody else?
Exactly. Where are the chances for personal growth for all of the people that they're apparently trying to speak for? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are they forcing Gina Carano out for literally speaking for her own, not even anything terrible. She's sticking by her political beliefs, which is her fucking right to do as an American.
Oh yeah.
A free voting, free like opinion, free speech. She's not even saying anything bad.
No, I remember when all that stuff first broke and everyone was saying, oh, she's, talking about
calling
Jews.
her an anti-Semite and all this. She's not.
Yeah, she's being anti-Semitic, and I was like, oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And then I read what she posted and I was like, am I missing something? Like, I'm confused. But
Well, like often, like dictators really hate being called dictators. That's what it comes down to.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
she basically threw shade on people for acting like a fucking dictatorship, and then they
Yeah.
got mad, called
Mhm.
for her head. Like, I mean, what do you do in that situation? She didn't say anything terrible. She didn't say anything
No.
anti-Semitic.
And yeah, if you want to say, oh, maybe she put her foot in her mouth, it's like, okay, that's fine. But why do we have to jump? Again, it's like people seeing evil everywhere, like we talked about
Absolutely.
earlier. Like, why does she automatically have to be anti Semitic?
Like James Gunn, what happened to him?
Right. Like
Like,
we assume the worst from everyone, and
yeah,
we assume that everyone has horrible intentions. And especially as a woman, I don't really appreciate how certain groups and certain people think that they can speak for me. I'm
exactly.
like I'm like, no. Um, the first thing in your little uh, you know, your doctrine or whatever you want to call it. It's
Yeah.
like, women are supposed to be able to think for themselves.
Oh, you
And
you wouldn't think that by looking on Twitter.
I know, apparently not. You know how many times I've been called a victim? I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like you do not speak for me. So stop
It's just
trying
your
to.
internalized misogyny talking. That's all.
I know. I hate women. People are gonna clip that and then be like,
The '90s made fun of this shit.
right.
Like, we knew all of this shit happened like years before it happened, and now it's back.
Mhm.
And now it's back.
Yeah.
It's so
I think the
crazy.
pendulum in society, it's just the way it kind of goes.
Yeah.
Because I remember a few years ago, at least a lot of content creators I was into, it was anti SJW. We gotta fight against this kind of shit. And now it's kind of swung back, like, well, actually, maybe canceling is justified. And
That
it's like,
blows my
what?
mind. That shit
I know.
blows my mind.
I
Like,
don't
I
get it.
understand. Okay, so I my last show was dedicated to defining a difference between the two, because I do think
Yeah.
that there is a consequence culture. I do believe that if you say
Mhm.
something stupid, that there is a consequence for that. I mean, clearly,
Sure.
walking into a fucking diner and telling a waitress that she has to wear a short skirt and eyelashes,
Yeah.
that usually comes
Oh my
with
god.
something in return.
That's so insane. And like the thing is, it's like, he admitted to it.
He did. He fully did. And when I read that first, I 100% am the first one to admit I thought she was full of shit. I thought
Yeah.
she was making a completely bullshit story up. And then
Well,
I
because
saw
it
he
does
admitted to it.
sound silly, right?
It
Like,
sounds ridiculous. It sounds insane. Like, there's no fucking way that anyone in their right mind would do that.
right.
But apparently, the Jewish Dillinger strikes again.
God. So, it's really interesting. Like, how old is he? Like 65 or
He's like,
something like
yeah,
that?
he's like in his late 60s.
Yeah, like when a man in his 60s is saying haters gonna hate, you might just want to reevaluate your life
Seriously.
because that's so awkward.
It is, yeah, that's up there. So, like,
Big
holy
yikes.
crap. Like, but I understand consequence culture. That is
Mhm.
the thing that exists. You know, going up to someone and punching them in public, there's a consequence to that.
Yeah.
Going out and punching someone on social media, there's a consequence to that usually. Sometimes it's swift, sometimes it's a 24-hour ban.
Yeah.
But the
Oh,
punishment needs to fit the crime, right?
yeah.
Hurt feelings do not constitute death in my world, you know.
Fucking dare you.
How fucking dare you? You hurt my dog's feelings.
You need to say sorry. See, that's
You need to say
that's
sorry
just
by
my-
sucking on the end of a at the end of a 45 caliber.
like, oh my god, I used this comparison a lot, like at the beginning of all the bullshit.
Yeah.
But like, so I have an ex from a few years ago who like we dated for like 3 years, and we were like going to get married, and like it was a serious relationship.
Yeah.
And he was also like a musician, like a touring musician, and he was kind of building a fan base, and he had people who knew him.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of issues there, but I ended up catching him in bed with another woman.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And
That's something you always like hear about as a trope, but like, you just never think that would
I
actually
know.
happen.
Yeah, it's not something that I would wish on anyone. It was
That'd be
like,
shocking.
I slammed his door so hard that there was like a crack
Oh wow.
down it. Yeah, I was so angry.
Damn.
And he ran after me and tried to talk to me. I just wouldn't have it. I was like, get the fuck out. Leave me
What
the
can you
fuck
say
alone.
in that situation?
Yeah, exactly. And like, we had been having so many problems for a long time anyway,
Right.
and it was just like, man, we're done. And like, obviously after some space, we were able to kind of talk everything out, and he apologized. But I also had time to think about, what my part was in the relationship going bad.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's not my fault that he decided to sleep with someone else
Exactly.
behind my back. Like, I didn't do anything to deserve that. I don't think anybody does.
No.
But, I did acknowledge that I also made things hard because my anxiety was undiagnosed. I was unmedicated
Right.
for it. So I was an anxious mess all the time. I was, it was pretty hard to deal with, to be totally honest.
Exactly. That's
And
rough.
yeah, and so we got a chance to really talk about where we went wrong, and apologize and be open and honest about it. And it was really nice because you don't get that opportunity often with your exes.
No, exactly. It's a rare thing, and being
Yeah.
able to talk like adults is
Right.
really important.
We literally went on to like work at the same record store together.
Nice.
And it was totally cool. And like I was dating again, and then he was dating again, and like there was no jealousy, no weirdness.
It's
And
cleared the air. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like, now we're not like buddy buddy, but like every once in a while we'll be like, hey, how are you? Hope life's treating you well, blah blah blah. But that was a time in my life where, yeah, I let go
Mhm.
of that pain and that betrayal and that hurt. And you know I remember I had some friends telling me at the time, like, well, you should call the places that he's going to be performing at and tell them to cancel him. And I was like,
Like,
why would I do that?
Why?
He-
It's so weird.
Him hurting my feelings had nothing to do with his music career, okay?
Exactly.
Like, I don't care how much my feelings are hurt. That's not cool. And so like, I don't know. I'm not saying that everyone should think the same as me. I'm just saying I think it would benefit a lot of people if they just took a step back and thought, maybe just because this person hurt my feelings, or I think they did something really fucking heinous to me.
Yeah.
Like, you can just not associate with them.
Yeah.
You don't have to ruin their life.
Well,
Or
and
try
that's
to.
and that's the thing. It's like you can also laugh at it. You can also make fun of it.
Yeah.
There's a million things you can do to get control of your feeling over that again. Like going back to what you were saying about the self-esteem stuff and being made fun of, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I people tell me all the time, like, oh, you know, I could land a 747 on your forehead. Like, just laugh at it.
God.
Like,
Ooh,
I
how
don't care.
original.
Like, I don't care. Like, people make fun of other people by saying it's like, you know, her hairline's receded so bad that her eyebrows left her face. Like, it's funny. You just
See, if it's
you can laugh at
creative,
it.
you
It's
can laugh.
creative.
Yeah.
But like, if it's bothering people, I don't care because I'm not DMing this person insults, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not sending them video messages of me. I'm not sending them glitter bombs with me making jokes about them. I'm just saying, I'm just shit posting online. I'm just
Right.
shit posting online. I'm just being the heel that I am right now. Like,
Right.
I don't care. I'm not, like, you know, I'm not going to go to your house and, you know, do stand up comedy on your front lawn about you, like, unless
Well,
you pay
that's the
me.
thing. Like, I feel like people, they like joking around on the internet and fucking around on the internet. You know, that's one thing. But I think you said maybe on the last stream, or maybe it was a couple before. You know, you were like, you know, shit posting online is one thing, but once it starts affecting your real life, that's when it's like not
Exactly.
cool.
Like, it's not cool. And like, honestly, it's online. It's Twitter. You know, like,
Right.
literally fucking who could message me and be like, "Oh, I don't like the way you look." Great.
Right.
Like, I guess my plans
Okay.
next week are ruined now because, like, I was planning on going out for a date with this random nobody I didn't even know before that existed until right now. Jesus, what am I going to
Right.
do? My
Yeah,
plans are
exactly.
ruined.
Right.
Like,
oh,
I don't
no.
care, and I'm sorry that you're upset that I don't care. Like, if
They
I
are
don't,
so bothered.
if someone doesn't, like, if someone's mad that I don't believe them, I don't care.
Yeah. Die mad.
Die mad, salty bitches. Exactly. Like, I don't care. I
Right.
don't. There's a ton of shit that I've gone through my life. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, rake the internet and, like, grind the glass into my eyes while I'm
Right.
reading it. Like, the hell's the point of that? You know, like, it
Right.
makes no sense whatsoever. Like, why would I intentionally torture myself by viewing things that I know is going to piss me off? I do that.
Right.
I do that enough when I play Smite. All right, like, I do that enough
Yeah.
playing video game that I have a love-hate
Literally.
relationship with.
Like, I cause myself enough pain in comp Overwatch, okay? Like,
Exactly.
I don't need more. But yeah, it's like that's what happens, you know, when you can be secure in yourself. Because
Exactly.
it's like what I was kind of touching on earlier, you know, how our friends were, you know, calling me ugly and making fun of me for whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing that, like, they said that is a now deleted tweet, lol. Um, but it, it was something like, oh, when you find out a guy you dated married a stripper, how embarrassing. And at first I was like, whoa, like, that didn't feel good. I'm just being minimized to just a stripper. Like,
Seriously.
I haven't stripped in like 2 years, but okay. But you know, yeah, at first that stung because it's like, why is this person who I don't even know, like, degrading me like that for no reason, seemingly
Yeah.
no reason. And but then I was like, you know, you got to remember who the fuck you are. And that's what happened. I was like, she is literally just angry and
Yep.
hurt, and she's lashing out any way she can and trying to hurt other people because she's hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what I think really is all it was, because I was like, wait, I know who I am. Like, I know I'm not just a random stripper. Like, I
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
I'm more than that, and I know I'm smart, and I know I'm talented, and I know what people care about me, and blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's like once you remember who you are, and you can be secure in yourself again. It's like
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me.
Well, if someone says to me, it's like, oh, the worst thing about you is your face. It's like, well, thank God I'm not stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Thank God.
Like,
Thank God it's
okay.
just my looks that I have to worry about.
Right. God,
I don't know
like,
if I could live with myself if I was an idiot. Just,
right. That's worse.
It's worse for me. Worse for me,
Yeah.
absolutely. But like, it's, I just laugh at this stuff. Like they try all the time to like try and break you down or make you question about yourself, and it's like, who are these people? Are they your parents? Are they your close friends? Like,
Right.
They're not. Like, they're literally nobody talking shit about you to you, or not even to you most of the time. They're talking behind a block wall. Like,
Yeah, I know, right? Weird. Like, I'm gonna block you, and then I'm gonna, access Twitter from another account that you don't know is me, and then I'm gonna read your tweets and respond to them. And it's like, okay, you weirdo.
Sure, go for it. Like,
Freak.
whatever. It's
Yeah,
just, it's so
like,
funny.
Well, and what's funny is like people like that, like the person I was talking about. I remember early on, she said something like, "Oh, I know Samantha checks my profile," and I was like, "No."
It's so far beyond the realm of understanding for them that there are more than like 3 people in the world that hate them. Like, it's so like they just can't wrap their head around it. Like, they're the most charming fucking person in the world.
Right, apparently.
Good Lord.
Like, and you know this, it's like you don't even have to look at that stuff.
Exactly.
People just send it, and it's like
they just send me random messages, and I laugh at it.
Right,
Sometimes,
and, like, I've had to, like, I've had to tell people, like, look, like, I can take a joke sometimes, but like, I don't want to read every single time someone says something mean about me. Because guess what? I don't really. It's not really nice, and
yeah.
like, I have better things I would like to do than to dread about what, people.
Oh, I find it hilarious. Anytime someone talks shit about me, send it to me, please. Because I'll fucking laugh my ass off. I need something to read when I'm in the bathroom, so.
Exactly. On the toilet. Or the journalist.
I will 100% laugh at it and reply if it's funny enough. 100%.
That's amazing. Oh my god. People.
This is too good. It's too good. Like, I find it funny because like I'm a literal nobody. Like, I'm just literally here streaming on YouTube to like at most 10 to 20 people on average. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm like nobody at all. And like these people is like I inspire an incredible amount of rage.
Yes, apparently.
Just by existing. Just by existing.
I know.
It's amazing.
I know how that feels. Yikes.
On a bit of a lighter topic, just because we're heading towards the end of the show at light speed. Everyone knows that you're a real bunny mom. I know a few people have asked if they could see the bunny.
Oh, she's not with me.
Aw, there's no bunny.
No.
There's no bunny.
But if you follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, you can. I post about her all the time. Because I like when I'm on the road and stuff. Like, yeah, I miss her, and I would love to take her with me. Like, that would be a dream. But like, I don't want to do that to her.
It'd be a lot of stress. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm flying a lot.
So, what is it like taking care of a bunny?
Oh, it's the best. It's okay. It's kind of like taking care of like a toddler that never grows up. Like, I've so before Ebby, I fostered two rabbits before, well, three. One of them passed away.
Aw.
She had brain cancer when we got her. We didn't know,
Oh,
but
darn.
it was nice because it was like, well, at least she got to spend her last little bit of life with us in a home. People love her and treats, and not in a freaking
Aw.
shelter.
Yeah.
But yeah, the bunnies that I was keeping for a bit, they were, rescues, and they were from like farms, and so they had, their
Mm.
ears tattooed and shit
Oh,
like
wow.
that. And so they were really skittish, and they were kind of hard to come out of their shell, but bunnies are like people, it's just their personality. They're all different. And so I remember thinking like, oh, that's how bunnies are. Then I got my bunny, and she is just the most rambunctious, chaotic thing ever. Like my awesome roommate who takes care of her while I'm gone, he calls her the god of chaos,
Aw.
and it's very true. She has to ruin everything. She has to get into everything. And so it was kind of a learning point, like, oh, okay, I can't have anything out on my floor ever. um
It's funny how pets can do that. They just teach you
I know.
every like shortcoming of your internal defenses.
Right, exactly. And like I remember, so I actually have her litter trained, and lots of people are like
Aw.
shocked when I say that. But yes, you can litter train bunnies for anyone who wants to get a bunny. But I won't lie, like they are a little difficult to take care of, just because they're not like dogs, for instance. Bunnies are quiet. You kind of have to just guess, and they're also prey animals.
Yeah.
So they're conditioned kind of to like not show when they're sick, or when, they're in distress, things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so you kind of have to mind read a little. Um but yeah, no, it's worth it. She's fun, and
That's good.
she was a gift to me from my. I know they say, don't give pets, you know as gifts, but like I was already looking for a bunny anyway when my mom gave her to me, and my mom was like,
Aw.
you went through something traumatic, last year when I was assaulted, and I figured you'd need something cute to cuddle. And yeah, she was totally right, because like
Aw.
literally just something as simple as having a bunny, or having any pet, I guess,
Absolutely. Yeah.
was awesome to have. And it gives you something to do. It gives you a reason to get up every day, because God
Absolutely.
knows she would never let me sleep in, because she wanted her food now.
That's too funny. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. Because I know a lot of people would think bunnies are super low maintenance, but that's completely not true. It's completely the opposite. They're from what
Yeah.
I was like, because I was looking up on like on what it takes to like maintain and take care of them, and it's a pretty involved animal. It's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess a lot of people just don't
It
think.
is.
Yeah, that's so
Well, and
funny though.
the difficult thing too is that oddly enough, they're considered exotic. And
Oh,
so you have to find like exotic vets, and you have to find a really good, specifically like rabbit
yeah.
vet, because, they're sensitive. Their little hearts can give out. although funny story about that, because I remember when we all, moved into our townhome,
Hmm.
and my roommate has a cat. And at first I was so worried, and like it's a big enough townhouse where we could keep them separate, but I was still concerned. I was like, that cat is
Yeah.
gonna eat my fucking bunny, and then I'm gonna be so mad. No, but yeah, no, I would never have let that happen. I kept them very separate. But I asked her vet once. I was like, well, I'm really worried. Like, what if for some reason they cross paths, and then the cat is mean to her? And he was like, "Oh no, don't worry. She can hold her own." I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, they just kick.
Yeah.
She'd probably hurt herself kicking the cat if it tried to hurt her." And I was like, "Oh no, we can't have that." But now it's so funny. She's basically like one of the cats now.
Aw.
So they'll all lay together and but although she is very protective of my room, like if a cat tries to come in my room, she will literally like just race to the door and just like stare them down.
Aw.
And they're scared of her and they walk away and I'm like, "Be nice." God.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Aw. Well, I know the chat is sending their love to her as well, so
Aw,
there's-
cool. Yes,
So.
I'm sure she would appreciate all the pets,
Oh yes.
all the treats.
My goodness. Well, was there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So unless people in the chat have anything they want to know or anything they want me to elaborate on or answer, like nothing is off limits.
There you go. Nothing is off limits, chat. You have a couple minutes, chat, if you want to drop in any specific questions. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap up the show here. But it's been a pretty good. It's been 3 hours. Can you believe it?
Oh
Like, holy
jeez.
cow.
Yeah, I hope I was entertaining and not
I was
boring.
entertained.
Oh,
I was
good.
thoroughly entertained. So
Oh, good. Me
I
too.
think the chat was having a good time too. I hope.
Good. That's awesome. I'll have to read through it more later.
There you go. Well, it looks like we're not getting any takers, so I think that's probably going to do
No
it for
worries.
today's show.
Alrighty.
One person's asking when you're going to be on Nick Ricada's stream.
That's a good question. I have to get in touch with Nick and see if he still wants to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't heard anything either way. So,
Yeah.
Oh, and so now we're getting some questions.
Oh, boy.
Questions. Gab's asking, how many VAs are actually on Quentin and Vic's side but are afraid to speak out? I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Tough to figure out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really like count an exact number because I don't interact with like
Yeah.
every VA and like they don't either, to be fair. But I will say that at every convention that we've attended so far this year, like everyone, every VA has been really nice and really kind and really
Yeah.
really supportive, and you'd be I don't want to like reveal like the shit they've
Yeah.
gone through because it's not my story to tell, but
For sure.
it's amazing how when we started talking about this stuff, how much it happens to other VAs, how much it happens to other people in general, because
Absolutely.
that not all their stuff gets blown up.
Exactly.
Like it was, for instance. So a lot of them, do understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the way of the world, I guess. They just have to, you know, practice some self-preservation. But
Yeah, it's the
in
office
person,
politics, right?
yeah, but in person, when it matters, they are supportive and kind.
Exactly. Andrea's asking, do you have a favorite breed of rabbit, like lion heads?
Probably. So I always wanted a lop, like the lop-eared that
Yeah.
I have. And before that, I had a Netherland dwarf, and I had a Californian. The Californian was pretty cool because she was like white with red eyes.
Aww.
But yeah, I always wanted a lop because I loved how ridiculous and floppy their ears were, and they just were really cute. And so I was looking for a lop for a long time, and then yeah, my mom ended up finding Ebby. She was the only lop in Omaha.
Oh, wow.
And she was, yeah, the last little black lop baby from this
Aw.
litter.
So
And
cute.
so, yeah, so it just, it was meant to be.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And Oni Lord Miki is asking, are you looking forward to September? You can choose to not elaborate on that if you like, but it's up to you.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Oh,
Perfect.
God. Funny.
Perfect. Well, I think that's a good spot to end it on here.
That's good.
So thank you everybody in the chat for watching. It's been fantastic.
Thanks, everybody.
Much appreciate everybody's support, and as always, keep your stick on the ice. Bye bye. All right, there we go.